Don't care if I'm getting bruised. It makes me stronger. I'm here to dominate. I won't surrender. Now hear me resonate.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and push your PC to the extreme with uncompromised graphics performance. So compact you have to see it to believe it. The way you play will never be the same.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Women's League Season 4, presented to you by XP Esports. My name is the Russian Cthulhu. I'm joined once again by the wonderful Blue Panda. How you doing, man?
I mean, week 3, another week of great games, another opportunity for teams to push further and further towards the top of the leaderboard. Again, I could not... Week in, week out, I'm just so stoked to be here. I love watching this level of gameplay. There's always interesting stuff that does happen. And I mean, this is where teams will start to break away from the rest of the pack. The teams that are top of the leaderboard want to extend those gaps as much as they can, secure themselves that top place finish towards the end, and look to push into the playoffs.
Yeah, look, very, very excited for all this to happen. But let's quickly graze over the whole format and all of the teams that are participating in this season. So we got all of our 8 teams that signed up. We have already seen quite a fair few of them play out. Group stage will be seeing us to witness 7 weeks of best of ones, semifinals, and the finals will be played in a best of 3 format, with the finals also seeing 2 teams battle it out for the 3rd place as well. So there's going to be 2 chances for one of the teams to actually battle it out through to the top 3 bracket, I suppose. And look, overall, this is a very exciting setup. It's already been running quite well overall, and well, let's not forget about the reasoning, or rather the large incentive that the teams are playing for. That is the prize pool that the teams are playing for, and that is going to be the $3,000 total prize pool, with champions running away with the $1,500 reduce, runners up with $1,000, and then 3rd place with $500.
Yeah, there's so much on in here. All these girls have been playing so hard. They've been practicing. They've been scrimming. They've done the work they need to, and now this is where it comes to fruition. They want to be getting themselves that top prize. You know, yeah, it's nice and all, but it's $500 that you're not going to get in pocket, that the winners of the tournament are. So they are going to be trying to push for that, want to make sure they secure that for themselves. So they are going to be bringing their A game every week if they possibly can. And already we have seen some top tier play.
Indeed. Well, there's also the wonderful MVP prize that is also coming up with the rest of the prize pool, and that is the season MVP prize. Sorry, but my mind blanked out. Presented by the wonderful people at ZQ Racing as well. So the MVP will be decided at the end of the season. So make sure you stay tuned, and well, one of the lucky players will get a chance to win this wonderful chair. So without further ado, let's get to have a look first at the standings, the big one, really, and the main kind of the leaderboard that tells us quite an interesting story so far throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, already you can see the two front runners at the moment, Elevate and Nocturnal, both have secured themselves 2 wins. The round differential between the two teams is only 2 rounds, so 13 wins, 13 round wins to Elevate. 13 round difference to Elevate, 11 to Nocturnal. So both these teams have had very, very decisive wins. They've got a lot of potential wins to play. And I mean, we see the middle pack, 4 teams currently sitting at 1, and then unfortunately, right down the bottom, Phoenix and 71st Recon have yet to pick up their first win so far in the season. This week could be the week they do that. They've got that opportunity, but we do have a couple of opportunities here for, both Elevate and Nocturnal to widen that gap even further, secure themselves that first, second spot, especially going into next week as well.
Indeed. Well, let's actually have a look at tonight's schedule on and off the stream, as we will be having quite a few bangers of matchups. So first up is going to be Nocturnal versus Calypso. That will be streamed. Off stream, we shall be looking and keeping an eye out at the Nutty Gaming versus Elevate and Beanix versus Renz. And the second stream match is going to be the Grumpy Grapes versus 71st Recon. Now, in my opinion, the Beanix versus Renz and Grumpy Grapes versus 71st is actually going to be one of the tighter matches today, given the fact that, well, for Grumpy Grapes, they already have one of the wins for themselves, but for 71st, this is also a good chance to really get themselves on board with the points. Same goes for Beanix, seeing as Renz kind of struggled a little bit with their scorelines before, but maybe this time we shall see some close dubs.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage in the competition, 71st and Phoenix, they need to be getting themselves a win on the board. They really can't afford to go another week without a victory. They can't afford to really find themselves 0-3 going into week number 4. So they're going to be pushing for that one, definitely. So I'm excited to see what we get in our second stream match of the night, what 71st Recon can bring to Grumpy Grapes. Renz, they've already proved themselves a capable team. So again, Phoenix are going to have a bit of an uphill battle to try and secure themselves that one. But our first match of the night, Nocturnal versus Calypso. Calypso has had a couple of rough results that they could have won, but unfortunately just didn't in the end. Whereas Nocturnal, they've been consistent. They've come in. Aussie Princess and the Stack have just consistently been playing very, very well. So if Calypso can take away a win tonight, that would definitely upset the momentum of Nocturnal going into weeks 4 and onwards.
Most definitely. Well, let's have a look at the rosters as well, get our minds refreshed about each and every team, and see how things will stack up. So first up is Nocturnal, the roster that came around from, I suppose, the shards of the Elevate from the previous iterations. That is the Aussie Princess Sav, AJ Tiger, Crescent, and Mons coming on board, and all of them are absolute units when it comes down to fragging, when it comes down to just jamming some high-quality Siege gameplay.
Yeah, also that sub in there, Pi, who was, last season one of the main casters here alongside Cthulhu. So they've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of knowledge behind them. They don't have a coach, unfortunately, so they are driving the majority of this themselves. But you can see the numbers that are being put up. They are playing very, very well. And this is a group of girls who know each other, they trust each other, and they have that faith that they can, they have some support. It's not, a stack of people who aren't quite as familiar with it. You're not sure if you can go for those plays because you don't know if you can trust teammates. No, these girls, they trust each other. They know they can play off of each other. And on top of that, they play very, very well individually as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. That team is a very well organized and very well set up. But let's have a look at their challenges tonight. The team that is looking to get themselves on board once again, that is Calypso, Repel, Fish Noodle, Bosch, Time for Pie, Diana with Omnom as a sub player. So overall, also a pretty solid team. They showed us some quality plays, but came short quite a few times before they even got close to the dub. So definitely going to be another challenge here, I feel.
Yeah, this is the Exto roster. They're now playing under a new name, Calypso. Again, some very, very solid players, some players with huge amounts of know-how in terms of the game itself. They have a very, very deep understanding. So it really does come down to whether that understanding matches up with their gun skill on the day, whether they can put them both to use and come out with that win in the end. And obviously, Repel, it's a name that's very well known in the scene. She's going to be leading the charge here, and hopefully, playing that stock standard SAS role, the likes of the sledge and the smoke on the defense, it will be that anchor that this team needs to get themselves a significant win, which would be arguably a significant win on the board.
Most definitely. Well, before we get prepped for the matchup as well, we got the map as well to talk about, because this is going to be the first time we shall be seeing Villa actually pop up. And Villa is actually one of those maps that I genuinely think has been somewhat evolving throughout the multiple of the seasons. And honestly, I feel like we might be seeing some very saucy new strats to be brought on board.
Yeah, I mean, Villa's had an interesting run in the competitive scene for the longest time. It was a staple. A lot of teams were bringing it. They had an understanding. And for some reason, it just sort of fell off. The teams were trying to avoid it. They weren't too keen to go. It's a map that can drag on quite a long time. You're looking at the average Villa being somewhere around a 7.5 on average. So I think now teams are sort of going back to it. It's that pocket pick that it's less well known because teams have been trying to avoid it as much as they can. And now that it is coming back in, we can see some teams look to use that, pick it up, and get some wins on the board because they just have that deeper understanding of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those maps that has seen quite a fair bit of appearance actually back around season 2 of Women's League as well. Almost similar to how Clubhouse nowadays is by far the most popular map that we've seen in a while. So that said, some new refreshed strats are definitely going to be, I reckon, will be seen here. And the one thing that I do want to also mention is that Calypso are going to be the ones starting on attack here, which is, I feel, going to be playing quite heavily into maybe the initial set of points, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the recent changes, with the way that the meta is shifting, it does. Villa, for the longest time, was only ever so slightly defender-sided. It wasn't wildly defender-sided, the likes of Theme Park or something like Oregon. Now it's very much 50-50. Teams are very, very capable in attack. You figure out early pre-fires, you can shut down roams, that sort of thing. And if you're bringing the right set of tools, obviously the right operator lineup, it can be very easy to go 3-3 in the half. So I'm definitely interested to see what both these teams are bringing strat-wise on both attack and defense, because it's a very, very deep map. You can go for those huge roams down all the way through the basement, come up for a pinch. There's a number of different avenues to come in and execute on the bomb site late round when the attackers are going for theirs. So there is a lot of potential for some big upsets in some of these rounds.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, the upsets are certainly there. Quite a few sites that are also quite made for these kinds of very late notice upsets or quite very late executes. Namely, I would probably say the living room and library, kind of one of those sites that you could approach in quite a variety of ways, but it certainly does allow some certain very kind of lightning fast rushes, even given how close it is to one of the entrances to the into the building.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to talk about is, especially in the attack, where do we see the entrance priority in terms of the building? Are we going to see, cross-map entrance? Are we going to see that straight-up gunfight? If it's the likes of Aviator Games, are we going to see a study push coming in, or are we going to see, going in from master bedroom, clearing across the second floor that way? Or are we going to see, just covering your bases, setting up explosive execute onto the site once you've made sure that you have less to worry about in terms of those pinches from the roamers? There's a lot that could come into play here, and it is going to come down to who's done their homework, who is prepped and ready, and really who wins their gunfights on the day. Because now with the changes, we're not looking at that storm meta, we're not looking at slow pushes, we're looking at teams getting ready, executing explosive gunfights, and whoever's left standing at the end is going to be the winner.
Definitely. Well, some explosive gunfights are certainly going to be there. I'm quite certain that both teams will be able to clap back at each other for some of the certain cheeky tricks that we'll be seeing. Some of the money shots, I suppose, with some of the ops. Look, I'm genuinely just excited to see what kind of approach will Calypso's also take here, given the fact that Nocturnal are a very able team to play both in a kind of very organized, very methodical way, but they also are able to just full on just send it.
Yeah, I mean, there is somewhat of a difference. You're looking at Calypso; they're very drilled, they're very straightforward. They will more often than not stick with their strategies rather than adapt on the fly. They will go with what they know. If that doesn't work, they'll give it another go. They'll try it again with some slight changes. Whereas Nocturnal, if it doesn't work, they have that capability to just wildly change things up. Go for those rush strategies. Go for those deep roam strategies on the defense. So there is potential that it could be maybe Calypso's lack of flexibility in some of these situations that could cost them some rounds here, or it could be Nocturnal overstretching those resources when they go for those adaptations that could undermine them. And unfortunately, it's one of those risks that you do have to take in a matchup like this. It's a lesser played map in a competitive environment like this. You've got to go for those audacious plays sometimes to win those rounds. And unfortunately, if they don't work, it is going to cost you, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely the risky plays are going to be quite a bit of a coin toss here, seeing as both teams are very able to punish certain mini mistakes. So, yeah, look, quite excited to see. Just waiting on the R from Calypso to give us the good to go. And yeah, look, quite keen on this. Good luck, have fun has been announced. Let's have a quick look at the Villa as well before we get into all of this, because look, map overall, I've been kind of hating on it previous seasons. Now this is looking like something that we could actually see some quality gameplay to come out of.
And apparently we no, maybe
Right, no,
there's some calls to the wrong sides, but from
hang
what I
on.
had down, I was told this is the right one. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I think we're just going to carry on. I think, yeah, well, Thatcher, that's a pretty understandable ban, so it makes a bit sense here. That's what I had. That's what I had down. It was Nocturnal starting off with the defense and Calypso starting off in the attack. So I'm not quite sure what the call is going to be there from the admin side of things, and
Yeah,
I would imagine we're probably going to see Thatcher let through, like as a ban anyway. It's understandable on a map like this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. Yeah, okay. So there has been a minor hiccup in terms of the setup. So there will be a rehost. We will be getting the girls onto the right sides. It will be Calypso starting off on the defense and Nocturnal starting off on the attack. So, well, look, early enough that we haven't revealed anything important other than that one operator ban, which no doubt at all that will be carrying on through. But that does change things. It does mean that Calypso have that potential to go for a 4-2 split if they can push for it. They need to at least win their two primary bomb sites, being more likely than not Aviator Games, and I would imagine split trophy statuary, rather than kitchen dining. It is a bomb site that is coming back into popularity. Teams are opting to go there second rather than third. So yeah, unfortunately, just we don't know yet. We only know that Thatcher is probably going to be banned.
Yeah, there's quite a high possibility that Thatcher is going to be out of the equation. I'm assuming something across the lines of maybe an Ace or maybe a Hibana will be out as well, seeing as how flexible can both those hard breaches be, or maybe better yet, even maybe a Maverick to be out of the equation, seeing as he can just flat out ignore most of the bandit batteries or kites or mute jammers, and plus he has frag grenades, so very versatile operator overall. On the defense, I'm assuming Valk, highly possible that she'll be out of the equation, seeing as info game is quite strong. By the way, I just witnessed a wild BBT pose on the spectator screen. But yeah, and I'm assuming the last ban, Maestro maybe?
I mean, you've got potential for someone like a Wemai who has been still getting prioritized in the ban phase. You're looking at potentially a Cade, someone like that, just because of how strong he is, especially on Trophy Statuary, and even to an extent on Aviator Games, locking down those walls, making it that much harder to open them up. Valkyrie, highly possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. It'll be either Valkyrie or Maestro. I doubt we're probably going to see both of them at the same time. In terms of the attack, I would have to say it's probably going to be an Ace more than anything, just because of what he offers on the whole. He's got the ranged hard breach. He's also got those smoke grenades and the AK-12. I think they're going to prioritize the information denial of those smoke grenades rather than the Maverick as well. But again, it's one of those things we won't know until we do get in. So hopefully we get that sorted very, very soon. We'll throw it back into the game. I mean, the big question is, Cthulhu, what are we expecting in the half split? Are we going to get a 3-3? Is it going to be a 4-2? Are we going to see an absolute blowout like we have in some of our previous weeks?
There is quite a possibility for a 3-3, I reckon, and but I don't think we shall be seeing an overtime. I feel that the match will be over before overtime hits, but I'm assuming we are going to be going nearly full set of rounds. So say 7-4, 7-5, somewhere across these lines, I feel is going to be kind of the play here.
Yeah, I mean, while we had our two longest matches last week on stream, there's obviously potential that we do see some more long matches coming in tonight. And look, hey, I'm not against it. I love as much seed as I possibly can get, so I'm definitely down for a 7-5, 7-4 potentially. This is an interesting matchup because obviously you look at the standings. Elevate sitting at the top, no surprises there. They are the two-time defending champion now. Nocturnal, they're coming in. They want to get out of the shadow of Elevate being partially this former Elevate roster. You then got Calypso. It's like the big sister, middle sister, little sister. They want to get out of the big sister's shadow. They want to be the ones to step into the sun, be the standouts here in the competition. So there is, I would imagine, there's probably a big vendetta coming that both these teams, they want to be the ones to eclipse Elevate here.
Yeah, it's gonna be yet another kind of attempt by Nocturnal to try to eclipse Elevate, to maybe finally realize that that revenge story that has been going for quite a while, and possibly we shall be seeing that very thing happen here. So we are just quickly setting things up as we go. But yeah, look, overall, Villa, I feel, is going to be still a pretty heated matchup to run with.
We're also moving away from what has been the standard, which is Clubhouse. Last week it had something crazy like a 50% play rate over all the matches played so far. So it's good to see we are getting that shift away. Teams are starting to go deeper into their strat book, pick out those maps that are less likely to be played, and look to utilize those, leverage those maps that are less prioritized for some of these teams. So yeah, I would anticipate that we might get something similar in our last match of the night. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see 71st Recon doing something similar. They want to go to something that's a little bit left of field. They don't want to take their opponent's Grumpy Grapes to something that they feel comfortable on. If they can, at least make both of them feel a little bit unfamiliar with the territory that they're in, they have that potential to pick it up as well.
Right. Well, just waiting for the last person to join in, and we'll just jump straight back into the matchup. But yeah, look, now that we've kind of had a bit of a change of pace, seeing as Calypso will be the ones to defend, certain dynamic might change here. Maybe we'll still see the 3-3. Maybe not, but yeah, look, we still are yet to even get through the ban phase here, but let's get straight into it. Finally, Good Luck Have Funds have came around, and honestly, yeah, just keen for all this, just keen for all the games, keen for all the setups that we are going to be seeing. Hello, R6 Analyst, please, thank you. And ban phase, we're already probably stratted out quite the most of it, really. Thatcher, potentially, maybe a Maverick, maybe an Ace, something like that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's going to be a Nomad, in fact.
Neither.
Taken away here by Calypso. I mean, again, it's an operator that makes a lot of sense with how, deep those roams can be, going all the way down to the basement. You want to enable those, especially Calypso. They want to play their roam game. They want to have the freedom to move around the map unfettered if they can. And, I mean, Nomad is a key operator in shutting that down and denying it.
Indeed. Well, second one is going to be the Thatcher. Nothing to really kind of be surprised about. He is one of those operators that even still to this date is quite strong in the high-level competitive gameplay. But yeah, the Nomad ban definitely does emphasize that we might be seeing quite a substantial amount of roam game, but that does leave Jackal and the rest of the roam clear operators on board, which should make things a little bit spicier, I suppose, would be the one way to call it.
Yeah, Mira coming out, no surprises there. She does play very, very strongly on a map like Villa. There's a lot of positions you can play with those windows that, I mean, you're basically just walking into a meat grinder as an attacker if you haven't cleared those out. So rather avoid it than have to deal with it at all. And Cade, yeah, again, no surprises there with that, but it does leave a few options available. We are going to see Malusi on board. She has been a problem for some of these teams, just the lack of ability to deal with them, especially when the likes of Jaeger and Wemai are on board. So there is, unfortunately, some situations where if they do leave it too late, and for the first time, I think in competitive history, for at least my casting experience, we're going to have a team going to living room library first.
Yeah, living room library has actually been one of those occasional odd picks between some of the teams to throw them off. And look, the lineup wise, the way how right now we are seeing Calypso bring it about is fairly universal. So it is quite borderline impossible to really even figure out whereabouts they're going to be playing. The attempt at debate with the dock as well, definitely going to be emphasizing that the potential for maybe a spawn peek at the study room. But apart from that, this is a really good call for Calypso to throw their opponents off as early as possible.
It's an interesting bomb site in that for the defense it can go horrifically wrong very, very quickly if you lose even a smidgen of control or one of the portions of this bomb site. And what we are saying, yeah, this is Calypso understanding that the best way to play this bomb site is have vertical pressure, deny the entry as much as they can from those angles, because I mean if you lose control of the vertical, those positions on the bomb site itself become that much harder to hold as a defender. So why not make that ground your own?
Exactly, and with the plethora of shotguns to well destroy all the floor on the second floor, there's going to be plenty full amount of angles to really just play around and play relatively safely rather than trying to contest with some of the players head on, which will be, I'd say, a bit of a bad decision if they elect to do so, given the fact that Nocturnal do feel a little bit more prepared, I suppose, on some of these gunfights.
At the moment, Nocturnal, they're out in the study balcony looking to drone out this vertical pressure that is the setup here for Calypso. You look at the amount, the 60% of the team is currently up on the second floor here and prone. In 90, it's going to be Bosch looking to try and contest this classical window. This really is one of those positions that can be a real death trap. If you lose out on this gunfight, it's the D50, the Deagle play almost attempted there, but it's such a tight angle to be playing. Crescent is there with the IQ, upside down repel, and this is one that, yeah, Bosch is going to go for the smart play. You pull off the angle, you head back downstairs. You don't want to take those gunfights unnecessarily, especially this early on in the round. They're going to pull back. It's about wasting time. It's about wasting utility, making them come to you. And by the time they actually go to execute onto the site, they're struggling because they don't have enough utility to clear out the stuff that is actually set up around the bomb site.
Exactly. Still quite a fair bit of stall is being sorted out here, which is just all about clearing out that one ballistic shield that Fish Noodle was behind. And right now, maybe time for Pi's Peak is going to be there. Some drain of the HP has happened, but not substantial enough, and first gunfight is about to erupt.
Unfortunately, it is going to be Fish Noodle to go down. Sav does find that one. Jaeger versus Ash. It was close. It was very, very close. Sav almost lost that one out. But now it's going to be to pressure into games, try and clear out the two remaining players upstairs. It's still 60% of this team for Calypso that are upstairs contesting. And Crescent, I think this is the read from Nocturnal. They understand that there is very, very little pressure on the bomb. So Sav wins the second. Unfortunately, the trade comes in the form of Crescent. So they have done some damage. Sav is down, not taken out just yet. So it is effectively a 3 versus 3, but there is the possibility to secure. Unfortunately, Aussie gets swung on by Diana. M590 comes out looking for a second, can't find it. Mon's just there with the MP7 on the 0, which has made an appearance. We didn't really talk about that. And AJ following up, pushing in, leaving it all on the shoulders of Time for Pi, who goes through a swing now all the way towards main stairs. Can she clean this up and bring it back?
Well, she has the element of surprise here. Nobody's holding really the angle well, apart from AJ Tiger, really, as I say that. Clean headshot there to clean it up, but if not for that, that would have been the perfect setup that the Malusi would have been able to emphasize on and, well, get the run win. But, nonetheless, a 0-1 scoreline will be seeing ourselves with Nocturnal in the lead, first of all, and Trophy and Statuary will be the next switch. So it seems that Calypso now very well acknowledge that even if they are going to try to play off some of the rather unconventional sides, there's no really point in trying to retry them, seeing as that was a relatively decisive win, although if not for Mons, it would have been a complete disaster.
Yeah, I mean, Rainbow Six Siege is a game about return on investment, and Sav went in 2 kills for her, 1 going down. She even got picked up, so she didn't die at all, and then same with AJ picking up 2 for herself as well. So the return on investment was definitely there for Nocturnal, and that's exactly... Cthulhu. There is something going on the left-hand side of the screen that is not something that you see every day. Not only is there a Doc and a Rook on the board, but they are also running shotgun. The French shotgun, the close quarters, it's actually a beast of a weapon, truly. It's the last time I saw this in a competitive environment, it was a basic throw in the University League because the team knew they had no chance.
Maybe we know something. Sorry, rather, maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe there's been some sneaky update, and maybe this pump shotgun now shoots the slugs as well. Heck knows, but honestly, I'm excited. I'm just keen to see how is that gonna perform, seeing as Diana is planning to play in the walk-in closet, whereas Rook of Time for Pi attempting to sit around that long angle, but instead it will be withdrawing over to the bathroom now. That is, I'm definitely, I can get behind the setup, but the rest of the roster though, looking a little bit spread thin, it seems.
Yeah, they're going for a horizontal spread. These shotguns are interesting. They do present a real challenge for a number of attackers. They actually have a decent threat at long range. If you can just get the entire spread into the chest of one of these attackers from, I mean, even up to about 10 meters, it's enough to put them down, if not outright kill them if you hit them in the head. And Sav goes in, once again, takes the trade against her counterpart. Fish to go down. Again, it's about return on investment. And at the moment, Nocturnal is, they're stonks. They're 100% stonks right now.
Yeah, they're in the positive here, in the green for now, because, yeah, even Bosch has been forced off the red stairs very quickly with, well, kind of minimal utility drain, and really already whole half of the map has been already taken over by Nocturnal without even losing even single bit of health and minimal amount of utility. So right now this is definitely a stonks game for them, but we already see the Rook reposition himself onto the trophy room in a very close quarter situation. So the moment the gunfight does erupt right at the doorway, we'll know who's going to be in the lead here.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's not quite the M590, but if you hold your angle, wait for the attackers to push into you, it's still going to be a real bad time for Team Nocturnal. Time is there for them, though. They've got just over a minute to play with. They can still afford to drone out, use that information gathering before they go for that execute. And Mons as well, having those cameras, the Argus launcher in hand, you could set yourself up for a very efficient execute here. But again, it does come down to the resistance they will inevitably meet. Sav is positioned outside Master. They could jump in here, go for the rush plant straight into Statuary if they should choose, but Diana waiting inside Walker. They've got the utility drain that they need to keep her alive long enough to go for this contest, but there's still, unfortunately, 4 players to the 5 of Nocturnal that they now have to deal with.
Definitely, already we are seeing some Ash charges being used here. Full knowledge of Nocturnal where one of the players is, but Repel able to find some fire back is definitely a good beginning here. Sav, that's the first death to the shotgun, but unfortunately the pincer is there.
They do swing in Aussie to find the follow-up. Mons finds a Repel, so they are just dwindling the numbers here of Calypso. Aussie on the plant. Bosch and Astro at the moment does just pull off the angle there. Could have found a kill. Time for Pi coming in from behind. Bosch finds Mons. They're looking for more. There we go. Long-range shots. Aussie almost goes down, but it's Bosch to find Crescent. Pistol in hand. Aussie dropped. And somehow this French shotgun meta that is coming up for Calypso has picked up a round.
Exactly. That was a very solid defense and solid quick retake. Even Diana looks a little bit lost there for what happens, but yeah, unfortunately we are going to be having to call in a rehost, seeing as one of the players has Players' PCs has crashed, but still 1-1 scoreline is already one way to set this setup. As I'm just gonna quickly pause the timer and wait things out. Look, quite excited.
It's the magic of the update. We can now pause the lobby. We don't have to go for a full rehost if someone crashes. Thank you, Ubisoft. They listen to us. You have us casters to thank for that. So make sure you thank us on Twitter. That's how we get our appreciation. But no, we've already seen two vastly different rounds. We saw what was a heavy upstairs presence on a first floor bomb site for Calypso that it didn't work, and it was purely off the back of Sav and AJ going in, winning their straight up gunfights, and then sweeping aside the resistance. We then see an interesting round where you're running two French shotguns, which is you rarely get to see one, let alone two in the same round. Diana finds a kill with hers. Bosch goes massive with the MX4, just finding some big kills from Astro, pivotal in shutting that down. I'm not going to speak to that final kill as to it was a combination of the shotgun and the secondary that was found there, but it's still a win nonetheless for Calypso. It's also one of the go-to bomb sites. If they know they can win a bomb site like Trophy Statuary with unconventional strategies, when it comes to playing it the second time around, they can go for something that is much more linear, much more in their wheelhouse, and we could see a much more convincing round come of it.
Yeah, definitely big props to Bosch there for being able to clutch it out on her end, and then being able to support the Rook. So now look, overall this has been so far a really, really solid performance from both teams. Good kind of revenge, I suppose, on the second round from them, being able to, like you said, take those gunfights and win them out. For Nocturnal, though, it looks like they maybe have underestimated certain gunfights, or rather certain scenarios that could potentially occur here in this very matchup, seeing as Calypso is looking pretty well prepared overall, and just maybe needed that first round to warm up to kind of get a good understanding of what's going to be the general dynamic of this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the rigidity of Calypso and the flexibility of Nocturnal. We're seeing the opposite this time around. We're seeing Calypso, they went to Living Room Library. It didn't work. They go to Trophy Statuary, but they do something less conventional. There is a flexibility that is being shown here, and I can't speak to just how effective it is going to be playing out through the rest of the map, but it's got them around. If they can bring that level of, pizzazz, unexpectedness into the coming rounds on their defense, we could see that's sort of an upset, a 4-2 split in their favor. It really is going to come down to, can Nocturnal pace themselves, say, hold on, that last one was a bit of a hiccup. They were playing some weird stuff, but if we just do our thing, we play our game and play it the way we know we can, like they did in the first round, they could take the half in their favor, 100%.
Well, that's definitely going to be the big question and big storyline that could potentially get accomplished here. Now, another interesting thing that I do want to point out is that when we paused the timer as well, the site that was locked in so far was Living Room and Library. So we are going to be seeing a retry of the site that got lost out relatively heavily into the hands of the Nocturnal, but possibly now that Calypso has adapted, or rather understood the kind of the general dynamic, maybe they'll be able to change certain things up. I'm curious if Doc with shotgun will make a return here, but we'll have to see.
I mean, the time before this one that I saw it was I think kitchen dining. They played both shotguns on the hatch in master bedroom, and the attackers all just funneled through the laundry door and got absolutely murked by a drop-shotting Doc, I believe it was at the time. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, again, some slightly less conventional stuff, but I don't think we're going to see double French shotgun coming out again.
Well, we'll have to see if that is going to be the case. For now, we are just going to go on a quick ad break just to make sure that we'll have everyone in. But stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We shall be back after a short break.
So scared if I choose all my feelings for you. Need to know what you're feeling, know what you're feeling. So scared if I choose all my feelings for you.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now finally back into the play. We finally had the player reconnect back into the run. So, look, living room and library is going to be locked in. 6-pick onto mute. Similar thing that has been done in round number 1, which definitely is looking like we might be seeing something across the lines. Okay.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, pardon me, we're running into a few technical issues. Hopefully we'll be able to run to get rid of them very quickly. But yeah, look, overall setup is looking really similar to what we've seen before. But I would assume that the main difference here is going to be the decision-making behind taking on some of the gunfights here. Maybe a certain approach change is coming up as well, seeing as most of the squad actually of Nocturnal are actually pushing in from the northeast side. But yeah, look, overall AJ Tiger is actually going in for the push here already. She's actually going to be spearheading rather than Sav, and that is going to be probably the big change here, seeing as Sav was usually the one who goes in for the push, and overall this is good. Now,
All right,
Panda.
okay, I'm back. Sorry, just it wouldn't be ANZ Esports if something didn't go catastrophically wrong, and that's exactly what's happened. We're back. We're in it. We still got 2 minutes left to play. There's still 10 players on the board, so we haven't had any straight heads-up gunfights yet. A lot of lurking around, a lot of information hunting at the moment. Sev, not quite as free in this round so far. Hasn't found those early frags, but Time to Pie on the hunt. Unfortunately, some big damage being dealt already. Repel being tagged, being found. They're starting to deal with this utility up on the second floor. And this is where we started to see things crumble, especially with this. Sam, though, isn't going to win the heads-up gunfight this time around. She goes down. This is where we can see Calypso start to, get their master plan rolled out and figure out what they're actually wanting to do in this round.
Definitely, and AJ Tiger is already in a bit of a pickle now, being tagged up through the drone hole in the vault. Will be now trying to maybe get into a gunfight with the Malusian. Oh, bit of a cheeky jiggle peek there, but won't be finding any sort of damage. So right now, Nocturnal are actually, oddly enough, are the ones being stalled out here rather than what we've initially expected for Calypsos to struggle.
I mean, the work that now needs to be done here by Nocturnal, not only do they have to deal with these roamers up on the second floor, they still have to get down to the bomb site. They not even in proximity. They still have a huge amount of threat upstairs that they now need to deal with. One of their primary fraggers off the board. Sav not going to be able to step up and go for these big kills. And Fish Noodle in a position to pinch at the moment. If she goes to the flank, she could be able to do some real damage here. They're stuck in 90. They're trying to figure out just how to get into threaten. With 27 seconds left on the clock, you can feel the floundering. You can feel the frustration coming out from Team Nocturnal. AJ desperately trying to cover the team so they can drop in and go for that plant. They will get the hatch open down into the toilet. Smoke canister coming out. Diana with a nitro cell. We see Repel downing Aussie Princess, but traded out by Crescent in the end. So this hectic gunfight with 8 seconds left. There's 2 players up and active. Mons has to go for the plant. Crescent trying to go for the pickup. Will get it on Aussie Princess. Mons killed. Crescent gets 1, gets 2. A triple in the round. And Calypso, they will get it, denying the plant.
Calypso's absolutely just nutty now, all of a sudden looking really, really activated and playing for time this time. Being able to just absolutely flat out shut down the competition is a huge thing to really think about, seeing as, well, at the moment, Nocturnal were just unable to find any kind of solution to any of their problems there. They couldn't really find any safe gunfight for them. The only gunfight that was kind of presented there was lost, unfortunately, by Sav. And from there on, it just kind of all went downhill. No openings whatsoever. Drone economy was just absolutely in shambles. And in an attempt to just flat out bum rush, well, they couldn't really cover all of their angles, and which at the end resulted in, well, for them, a very unfortunate loss. For Calypso, though, on the other hand, this is looking like a very uplifting game and a very uplifting start, seeing as already they are the ones in the point advantage.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see the frustration, the desperation coming in there at the tail end of things. 3 of 4 players stuck in 90, trying desperately to get that hatch open so they could drop in the toilet, push it. Unbeknownst to them, Repel was playing below on the smoke, threw the canisters in. They just pushed in, got demolished one by one. Yes, Crescent picked up 2 kills, but Fish Noodle with the clutchest flank play I have seen in a long time. Spots out Mons, putting the diffuser down, guns her down, gets traded. But you know, at that stage, it doesn't really matter what the rest of the team did so long as they stayed alive, because the clock was not in Nocturnal's favor. They won it out, and that is exactly how I imagined they wanted that initial setup that we saw in round 1 to play out.
Yeah, certainly looks like it, and finally that plan came to fruition. Now, it seems like the setup is actually going to be somewhat similar here now that they are actually defending AVG, but there's now more emphasis onto spreading out towards the Master Bedroom and Astro, which does make sense seeing as some sort of expansion needs to actually happen here, and Nocturnal are very well known that the moment they grab most, or rather the majority of the map and spread out, they're able to just flat out win the round. But here right now, Time for Pyre is already wasting quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, this sort of strategy is an interesting one. So they've gone for a horizontal spread in the second floor. What you see teams doing on this bomb site is you'll have some downstairs presence, but the majority of the team is going to remain close by the bomb site, play around classical. You might have one player over the side of things, as we see AJ at the moment pushing into Astro, trying to go for a bit of a pinch. But this sort of bomb site, this sort of setup, at least for Aviator Games, relies on you winning you're winning your gunfights on your own, because you don't necessarily have the coverage you need to go for a trade. Which means that Calypso, this is what I was talking about. Insane amount of confidence in their own players, insane amount of confidence in a setup like this, and we saw what happens when they win their gunfights in previous rounds, and this is exactly what they're banking on. They want to win their gunfights, and we are starting to see some of that vertical pressure coming in now. Time for Pi has dipped down below. Diana is playing around classical, so this is more traditional setup that you're anticipating. Someone on the stairs. There's a lot of close proximity play here. Now it comes down to, can Nocturnal read into this? Can they catch out one of those flanks, find an opening, go for the execute, or are we going to see them stalled out again?
Well, we'll have to see, because right now, once again, it's AJ Tiger who's actually leading the charge in hopes of finding one of the opening kills. This time we'll be attempting to use the very same drone hole that the opponents tried to use before, but now won't be finding anything. Repel attempting to do something, but yet again it's Time for Pi on the roam. And once again, it's her claiming that kill. And this time there will be a little bit of a attempt at hunt, but no, Sav will pull back at the very early stage.
Yeah, you could see that the confidence is now shaken a bit for Nocturnal. They came in guns blazing around number 1, round number 2. They almost took it out in the same fashion. And the last couple of rounds, they just haven't executed the way they would have liked, and you can see the hesitation. AJ goes down. Time for Pi has just been chipping away at this lineup, and Repel going to find one as Sav swings aggressively into Aviator right now. Toxic Canister locking down the potential, but behind the vault door is going to be Aussie Princess on the defuse. Little does she know that Time for Pi is right around the corner. Knife kill! It was exactly what was going to happen. Very telegraphed there. Bosch finds Crescent. Mons does get the kill, but again, Calypso play the clock phenomenally.
3 rounds in a row, Panda. That is the win rate so far for Calypso's on the defense on Villa, and that is actually already a phenomenal scoreline that we've been seeing throughout this whole matchup. Honestly, even in my notes, I'll admit I wasn't particularly a believer in Calypso, but now I feel like I'm believing.
Well, I mean, the strongest of all defenders is always going to be that clock, and if you can play the stall game, you are going to have a huge ally, and that's exactly what we are seeing here from Calypso. 3 rounds where they have pushed Nocturnal to their absolute limits and been able to capitalize and push it over for the victory. And now we are going to see the dock come out once again if we do head to the split bomb site once again. But we're not going to see the full Doc Rook combo. Bosch, who is pivotal in this defense, is going to be bringing up their alibi once again. So this is, again, it just screams confidence coming out of Calypso. They know what they want to do. Yes, the first round didn't go the way they anticipated, but everything else has so far.
Yeah, and I mean, the decision to swap out the Rook for Malusi as well, I believe, is another huge thing to really mentioned, now that they kind of know that they are the ones currently dictating the pace, they seem to be in the control of their own morale. Bringing in the alibi to slow things down even further now that the attack needs to deal with both goo mines and the alibis as well. This is going to be potentially a slugfest for the attack, and it seems that Nocturnal are still struggling with trying to deal with this kind of playstyle, really.
Yeah, well, it comes down to the ability to adapt in these high-pressure situations. Those that can't will be swept aside, and I mean, if this trend continues, it will be Nocturnal ending the half 5-1, which is something you never want, especially with the way these rounds have been going. It has been coming down to the time factor. They just haven't been on top of the ball in terms of their time management. So hopefully they can accelerate things a little bit more. They're loving this zero pick, and unfortunately, Sav loses out to Fish Noodle once again. They are currently going at it tooth and nail. Finally, Fish is going to be the one to come out on top, but again, a primary fragger on the Nocturnal roster is down very early.
That has to be a tilter here for Sav. Attempting to go for entry frag so many times, and yet she just gets shut down, even in those kinds of long-range gunfights, even after the fact that she brings in the 1.5 times scope on a G36. Just things are not certainly working out for her, but for Fish Noodle, this is a huge win here, because not only that's the initial momentum completely shut down, now they know that, well, that's where the main push is usually coming from, because so far Nocturnal has been very much telegraphing their push intentions, but okay. Speaking of, Crescent, good opening on Typhoon Pie, and that is the one of the big frag openers, really, as well.
Ping goes out, they know where Repel is, and trying to go for the swing, trying to go for sees the head, Crescent again. I mean, we've seen this priority and threat transition from, it was initially Sav and AJ, and now Crescent is the one to pick up the mantle of frag leader for Nocturnal at the moment. AJ positioned on the trophy door, knows that there is someone deep in Astro. It's going to be Bosch ready and waiting to contest. Last time around on this bomb site, Bosch was decisive in how it played out. And with the dock on the board, Fish Noodle as well going to be healthy, so it's still entirely winnable. They're just dumping that utility, trying to get themselves into the bomb sites, then go for the execute. Bosch knows that there might be someone down the stairs. Crescent is going to be tagged. It was the Banshee to give away her positioning there. Fish Noodle finds one, but the trade is there for Aussie. Diana trying desperately with the shotgun to dish out some damage, deter the plant, but Aussie is going to stick it here. 3 versus 2, loses out in the range to the MP7, but Bosch is there, does find Aussie Princess yet again. This time round, though, Bosch isn't the catalyst that Calypso needed, and it will be a round going back in favour of Nocturnal, so they do close that gap. It is now 1 round difference as we head to the final round of the half.
Quite a high potential for a 3-3 scoreline as well here, Panda, seeing as, well, finally Nocturnal has found their way about the issue, and that was being that, just keep on emphasizing on some of the mistakes that Calypso made, because their main mistake right now, in that hold for Trophy and Statuary, was not dealing with Crescent, who was on the Astro stairs. They had Doc, who still had plenty of cover back then, to try to just ambush the IQ player, and the shotgun had just the right range as well for the one-shot down. So, in electing not to really deal with that threat, pretty much was mostly, or mostly the downfall of that defense, which was quite an unfortunate demise, but nonetheless, for Nocturnal, this is a good read.
Well, for the first time in a long while, we're going to have a half where we do not go to dining kitchen at all. We are going to see the living room be the final bomb site of the half. We do see the 6 pick off the dock onto the mute once again. So they are going for something a little bit more conventional. Still the shotgun, but a slightly more effective shotgun. They are going for that vertical hold once again. They are playing their game, and they are looking to take it as it stands. Well, I mean, it's so far been more effective for Calypso. They have this potential still to go for a 4-2 split, which is exactly what they're looking for. But Nocturnal, there's a lot of confidence to be built off that previous round. The way they approached it, the way they played it, was definitely going to bolster them here in the setup. And, well, I mean, again, it's how well they can read into this. And you can see the spawn, they're all heading over to Fountain, so they have read into this vertical hold. We've seen them time and time again go for that ruin spawn, contest in through study, but no, they say this time, we're going to go in, we're going to go for a different approach. And the drones through the kitchen, they can just go for a straight first floor push. And you see Crescent's droning the bomb site. There is a lone player here on the bomb site right now.
Exactly, and some of the preps are still happening on the second floor, so this will be the prime time to go in for the push because nobody is even contesting the red stairs. So for Sav, easy entry should be there, and the only person to really contest against is going to be Repel. She is already all prepped and ready to take some of the gunfights, but still, even just overpowering her with the numbers is going to be a huge thing, given that the SMG-11 has enough clip for maybe one, maybe two players here if you're going for just straight up body shot. So this could be huge if the execute does come around, because it doesn't look like any rotation is actually coming the way of Calypso. Only now Diana is actually going to be attempting to hold the red stairs.
I mean, this could be a case of too little, too late. The SMG-11, yeah, it's an absolute spitter of a gun, but limited ammo means that you have to win that initial gunfight. If you're not quite on the ball, you are going to find yourself at a massive deficit. The drone positioning, they are very aware of just how weak this bomb site is right now, and they are gearing themselves up to go for that execute. AJ pressuring in. Repel does have to hold on for dear life, unfortunately. There's only so much support that can be given. Goes for the drone. We'll have to pull out the shotgun and just play the tight angles around the doorway. You can see Nocturnal, they are primed and ready to go for the straight rush into the bomb site. Sav going to give away a position, though, spraying through the walls, so Diana might have an opportunity here as they are just working their way in. Unfortunately, it's Fish Noodle to find Sav yet again. Crescent gets one, gets a double. That's Repel and Fish Noodle to go down. So Crescent, yet again, the linchpin in his execute equalizes. Gets another one. Mons to go down to the SMG-11 play. Has been clean so far from Calypso. Down again means that we're back at a 2 versus 2. Time for Pi, playing the vertical angles. Might be able to find something. Bosch as well in toilet right now with a bit of a crossfire across the bomb chassis. Can she find much of anything pushing in? Will she spot anything? Yes, she does. She spots one, spots two, and causes the player to pull off the defuse. Calypso, they take the half 4-2.
4-2. Now that is a very, very strong scoreline, as well as that a quality recovery from them, as the initial pace of the round has been definitely not looking too well for their overall turnout. And look, 2 kills for the whole round, I'll gladly take it. That is just flat out highlight material, straight up.
I mean, you can just feel the confidence coming out of Calypso right now in their defense. Bosch could have aggressively swung that, lost out on that gunfight, but no, she keeps her cool, waits for confirmation that the defuse is being stuck, and then swings out. They had absolutely no idea that she was there. A minor lapse in drone coverage from Nocturnal cost them dearly in that round. If they'd had any idea that there was a player in that closer proximity, it could have been a vastly different story.
Yeah, most definitely. And it seemed that Nocturnal just spent so much time on the drones with such little payoff for all that info game, which felt kind of almost anticlimactic. You gotta say there. But curiously, to me, Calypso are actually bringing in quite a slight different lineup. We do see the appearance of Sledge, as well as that the introduction of Twitch as well. But apart from that, for Nocturnal, it's a very kind of by-the-book decision on the site. AVG, very strong site to play around, and does allow quite a fair bit of flexibility, and 2 players as well to play around the statuary and the bathroom. That is going to be the Melusi and the Mozzie.
Yeah, Mozzie is an operator that he's just going to see a rise in stock coming into the next season. If you have played it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But at the moment, still incredibly powerful. Information denial is such a key part of this game. Fish Noodle bringing something a little bit different. It's DMR for the Twitch here. Again, another operator that has seen a rise in popularity. They are going to just burn through that pest, bait it out with another drone so Bosch can get those bases covered, set those flanks up, and enable them to try and figure out where some of these sneaky defenders are. AJ downstairs could be a real nuisance if they're not paying attention. Nitro Cell potential as well. You look at the presence in the building already for Calypso. They have some ground. They need to extend it for the moment. But again, it seems to be the case of Melusi's. Sev on it this time around. Time Papaya last time. They were just absolute demons, able to find some massive frags. But you look at the side of Calypso, this Twitch drone is just doing work.
Oh yeah, I was just about to make a note of that. The Twitch drone definitely already managed to get rid of some of the early utility, and that is a good thing here, seeing as that should allow the push of Calypso to be a little bit easier, really, to perform. But for now, the issue at hand is that not a single frag has been achieved. Better yet, not a single bit of damage has been achieved. And maybe now the solution by Sav is going to be in play. Should she push quite aggressively onto the white stairs, but instead a C4 from below will be elected, and to no success.
Unfortunately, just not quite lining it up the way that she needed to. Little do they know, Sav and Repel could have met each other if they were to go and contest in main lobby. But with 53 seconds left to go, you got players posturing around. It's Bosch to find the opening. Sav just having an unfortunate run of luck after that first round, just not quite able to string together more than 1 or 2 frags. They use Aussie Princess in a bit of a tight situation here, playing around top main stairs, trying to contest both Study and Classical. AJ finds Bosch, so the trade is there. Repel in position to take control of Study. There's a lot of angles that now need to be covered, and unfortunately, neither team has the tools or the resources to do it.
Yeah, running into Melusi as well as that, already spotted on the Maestro camera, it's a huge thing, but Repel finding a shot is a big thing. AJ on the flank might try to pull off something, but right now Mons already finds a frag that maybe AJ is able to deny, but the plant has already going down 2v2, as right now, well, there's the attempt at the clutch. Mons still there, full health, being able to dish out small chunks of damage. No knowledge of AJ Tiger's position yet, as the C4 flies in, no down.
Close on the heels, the prone form of Diana finds one. In fact, they trade. And now it's SAS Operator versus SAS Operator. Repel playing outside. Just going to go to the Study window. Mons might be able to go for a defuse here. Will start it up. Will she clutch it? Repel has to jump in. SMT-11 in the hand. Just absolute confidence. Unfortunately, it may be the case of pros don't fake, but with the much time available to Repel as she had, Mons didn't really have the option to pull off.
Well, quite an unfortunate turnout there, but 5-2 scoreline, but not the way that probably we expected already. Calypso are the one leading the charge here, and it seems like a very, very confident play, even when it comes down to 1v1 situation, although that trade was definitely quite worthy to mention as well, seeing as both of the players were able to acquire a kill that way. But AVG is going to be a retry, so contrary to usual kind of logic, it seems that now for Nocturnal it seems like a good time to, well, maybe give it another crack, see if that is going to be a good decision here, maybe if they will be able to make or play out certain things better. It seems that for AJ, everything went pretty good up until that one trade that should have possibly went her way, but it is what it is, so maybe this is going to be the time when they're gonna stop, I suppose, the round bleed.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at how this map has played out. You got Calypso. The reason they find themselves in this position, it feels like they were just that much more prepared for Villa. They were 100% willing to go to this map. Whereas Nocturnal, the success they've had has come down to their fragging potential. They've just found their gunfights. They've come so close on a number of rounds, but it just a combination of, you know, not quite as, you know, confident on the map like Villa, and time management has been a big crutch for them that they haven't been able to manage or work around. So I think this is Calypso. They have big brained this entire series. They haven't won it yet. There's still potential that Nocturnal can bring this one back and even things up and even push for the win themselves. But you can tell that the favour has to go towards Calypso.
Yeah, already some early roam hunt is there. Already some shots being fired off. That is Sav trying to absolutely just bolt it out of there into the kitchen. And, well, rightfully so, actually able to escape for the time being. But 2-player hunt. Time for Pi and Repel with Diana on the drone should definitely suffice. Or rather, it seems like maybe the kitchen dining will be ignored. And that could potentially be the issue here.
Well, it looks like they are setting up 4 flank drones here. I know that there at least is some presence downstairs. Yeah, exactly what's happening down there. They're going to check a drone and read corridor. They're going to try and cover it from down below, try
Attackers have
and
located a
anticipate
bomb.
whatever threat will be coming. And at the moment, I mean, there's time on the clock. Calypso, they're definitely doing the legwork that they need to make sure they have some security when it comes to the plant. But Sav has found a drone. So there is that glaring weakness that now presents itself. They have the potential to come up Astro, flood in over, north to south here. But you look at this, Nocturnal, I don't think they quite know that the threat is downstairs at the moment. Crescent sitting on the pool table maybe has some inkling, but there's no indication as of yet, for at least Nocturnal's point of view, as to where Calypso are going to go for that play.
Big issue here is with already only a minute remaining, only now the push is actually happening. Thankfully for Time for Pi though, this means that she's able to take a very quick, very confident gunfight with minimal loss of the utility. But even so, 50 seconds, not a single, well, only now the frag has happened. This is alarming, to say the very least.
Well, they've swept aside the Jaeger once again. They see the rotate hold. Crescent just holding tight in the corner of games at the moment by the pool table. Going to go prone, try and look for any drones that might be in the site, giving away her position. 30 seconds left indicates that Calypso are going to have to explode onto the bomb site at some point. AJ spotted and shot it. Will force her back out of that position. Sav currently in Aviator at the moment. Time for Pi doubles up. Triples up, in fact. 3 kills so far for the IQ player here for Calypso. Diana is going to find another Nitro cell from below. Can they deny anything at all? AJ does go for it, but the plant is being stuck. Time for Pi can't find a quad in the round. Will be dropped there by the P10 Maroni. AJ with a sliver of health, found by Rappel. Calypso move to map point.
Absolutely smashing performance here, gotta say, from Calypso. Like you said, very well prepared, very well coordinated push, even at the last few moments. What seemed to be a very oddly shaky beginning to the round turned out into an absolute flood right onto side, and all thanks to Time for Pi for pulling off the triple kill with a G8. The gun is an absolute beast on its own. And look, now trophy statuary, potentially the final round before we transition into next match. With Calypso running the gauntlet so far, that is, I can approve of that.
Yeah, I mean, just the level-headedness, the preparedness coming into this, I think 100% Calypso played the map ban and won it off that here. The depth of understanding just seems to be there. The familiarity seems to be there. Nocturnal, they're not unfamiliar, but they're not quite as prepped as what we're seeing out of Calypso. And on the day, it's definitely theirs to win. Sav going to bring something a little bit different here. The Cat Can making his way through. Not something that you see, although in saying that we've seen double, two French operators in the defense running shotguns, so it's not the craziest thing we've seen today.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, I can most definitely get behind the Capcan pick here, seeing as for Nocturnal, this is a little bit of a
5 seconds left before insertion.
almost a desperate pick. They're trying to, instead of now trying to drain out the drone utility, instead of trying to take some of those gunfights, they're just flat out trying to use the trap utility to slow down the push to the point where it's a moment of desperation before the push onto the side. And maybe that is the solution here against Calypso. Quite possibly this could be the key to win, seeing as Time for Pi just flat out send it through most of the doorways. So an extra 60% damage, I'd say that's not a bad idea at all.
Oh, AJ with a bit of a whip onto the drone is going to give away a position. EE1D to follow up, so they are on the hunt for this poor, unfortunate Mozzie. They are aware of the positioning there. At the very least, proximity, maybe not complete, lockdown on where she is, but they have an inkling. They know where the immediate threat is coming from. Fish Noodle holding a position, looking for the crossfires from the stable balcony, just outside of Split at the moment. Going to be following in Time for Pi. Time for Pi just ran it in and gunned it in that last round. It was absolutely terrifying. Got into the site, found 3 kills before going down herself. Looking to try and do that same thing again. AJ just swinging the window, which is where Fish Noodle was moments ago. They are, maybe not quite floundering, but you can feel the apprehension, the tension setting in here. They're pulling back to the bomb site. They're looking to go for the vertical hold rather than the extended horizontal. Nocturnal, this is a do or die effort right here.
Most definitely, each and every death on their roster is going to matter quite substantially. Another gunfight erupts, and right now Aussie Princess cannot connect any of those shots. That is an unfortunate, as well as that Sav does go down. I'm I'll be absolutely frank here. I am confused as to how did Time for Pi not die there.
Yeah, full on tanked the entry to Nile device and two or so shots from Aussie Princess there, but Sam goes down as well. AJ is just targeting the drone economy here of Calypso. Unfortunately, it's one of those situations where you take the small victories where you can, because unfortunately they are down two women at the moment. This fish is going to be jumping straight in, ready to go into trophy. Will get fragged out by the MP7 at Crescent, so they are just dealing with that at the moment. Mon's going to find a second, so they bring it back even despite what it was moments ago. AJ finds Bosch. All of a sudden, it's Nocturnal with the woman lead. They have the potential to get themselves a third round on the board with 38 seconds left. Now Rappel and Diana have to send it into the bomb site. One, they have to get the diffuser back before that, but time is just not on their side.
Indeed. Rappel trying to just squeeze through that small opening in the doorway in hopes of maybe trying to find the foothold yet again, but right now all of that progress has been absolutely lost. But look at all of this minuscule amount of health points. So if anything, this could be the one advantage that Rappel could be playing off, but right now no positioning, no understanding whatsoever. There's the crossfire right now, and just no chance whatsoever that this round is being won. AJ Tiger is just on an absolute rip here.
She ran out of ammo with her primary, pulls out the secondary. Ironically, both of them are pistols. One's just a little bit dressed up. But that is a third round on the board now for Nocturnal. They have potential. This is the realms where comebacks start to become a possibility. They need 3 more to tie it up, take us to overtime. So it's a situation where they can't afford to make any mistakes. And for the first time, here in Villa, we are going to Dining Room Kitchen.
Yeah, finally we shall be seeing the appearance of this side, but look, this is definitely now looking like maybe Nocturnal are starting to fight back, but this is a very dire situation for them, regardless of it all, seeing as, look, right now it's nearly been lost, but thanks to the gunfights at the end of that round, and a plethora of mistakes that has been made by Calypso at that final round, for Calypso, it's not over just yet. So, Dining and Kitchen, AJ Tiger is already on the 10, sitting and just pushing her team further and further. Looking at the lineup though, nothing really has changed, at least nothing too substantially. Maybe it's just the positioning that will be coming in play here.
Well, I mean, at this stage, I think Nocturnal, they're keeping themselves in through sheer dogged determination. They don't want to lose out. They want to keep themselves at the top of the pack right now. They are currently even in terms of wins with Elevate, although I'd say that Elevate have won their matchup tonight. I had confirmation of that. So if Nocturnal can win this, they keep themselves even with Elevate, at least in overall wins. Not necessarily around differential, but they keep themselves at the top, right, for the moment anyway. So they want to bring this one back. Calypso, they're looking to get themselves another one on the board. If they can do that, they secure themselves, again, just closer to the peak of the leaderboard. That's exactly what they're looking for. But we're heading into this, what could be the final round. Nocturnal, Dining Kitchen coming out again. It's a different bomb site. Look at them. They're stacked up. Calypso ready to go. They might even go for a straight rush. It's straight through Laundry into Kitchen. Into Dining, sorry. Who will be sprayed down. Aussie Princess with the SMG-11 takes out Rappel. Mons finds Diana. This rush play is just being shut down. Time for Pi goes to the deep Candela throw. No, it's Smoke instead, actually. So Fish Noodle finds one, but is traded. Swinging in. Aussie Princess finds another. M590 in hand. This is going to be a quick round. It seems Bosch is going to find Sav. Can't find the follow-up. That round was over in a minute, Kazula.
Oh yeah, that has to be one of the quickest rounds that we've seen in for a while. But that does put us only at a 2-round disadvantage, and a potential for an overtime creeps in closer and closer.
Time for Pi was confused. How did that not work? Well, I mean, it's not that hard to defend a rush from Dining, in all honesty.
It's more so even just the sheer fact that it was off the fact that there was an active Melusa device that did not get destroyed throughout that whole rush, which kept on slowing down things substantially and notifying the defense of the exact location of the attackers.
Now, what's the old Flanders meme? Maybe it's the kids that are out of touch, but this is something a bit different. AJ going to be bringing Ned Flanders, ironically enough, over Mozzie at the moment. So I think this is reading into what we saw in the previous round, which was a Ying, although this time around we're not going to see it here for Calypso. Which, I mean, is this... I think AJ may have given herself the DJ Khaled treatment. I think she's played herself.
Yeah, that's quite a possibility, really, seeing as well. Maybe Nocturnal looking at this whole situation thinking, well, Calypso already pulled out the Ying, pulled out some of the crazy strats with some of the positionings, and might as well try to maybe adapt it on the go. And that kind of, the on-the-go adaptation, yeah, kind of played a
10
very
seconds to go.
horrible joke, although quite possibly
5 seconds left.
this is a better decision, seeing as the MPX is a really good gun, arguably probably even better than in some ways better than the P10 Roni.
Look, all I can say for sure is AJ needs to work on her penmanship. Whatever she was writing, it was atrocious, even with an MPX. But I mean, the P10 Roni, the MPX is sort of in a similar boat in terms of their output overall, and not the strongest of weapons, but not the worst in a long range contest with those 1.5 times scopes. But at the moment, Aussie playing that same position, top main stairs behind her, shield waiting to cover both. Well, unfortunately, it's two angles that she needs to then worry about. But we see Calypso again going for the same approach. Downstairs, deal with that. Sav goes down. The LOE didn't even get to talk about Repel to find that kill. Sav is just not having a great night.
Not at all, and that does leave AJ
located
Tiger
by
all
attackers.
alone on a roam around the now basement, as she decides to completely forfeit her position on the ground floor, which will be given a false sense of security for Calypso, which could potentially be yet again the downfall of their push.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of time here for Calypso. They have the opportunity to cover their bases, just stabilize themselves, get those drones in, figure out positions. Hell, they can even go for the grenade plays for Repel from below and try and threaten in that capacity. But Crescent at the moment looking to try. They're anticipating this rush straight in through study, but that doesn't seem to be the call that is made. Fish Noodle not running the DMR this time. It's going to be the F2 in hand. AJ still playing around red stairs, might be able to come up for a bit of a pinch, but I mean, we've seen Calypso's ability to read into this extended play.
Interestingly enough, actually, Repel has the drone set up to actually overlook this very hallway, so quite possibly the hunch from AJ Tiger to not to really push that hallway is a good decision, although rotating through the kitchen stairs and into the Astro is also going to be quite a large brain decision, seeing as there's quite literally nobody on that side of the map. So another flank could be a very crucial point to really play off, and Fish Noodle is kind of prepared for that, but she doesn't have the angle just yet.
It really comes down to just how well aware they are. But
Oh, man.
AJ finds the kill onto Bosch, just lining up the shot somehow. Fish will pull in, go into classical, look to try and contest that. Get killed. It was found just moments ago, all the way through into study. Crescent again holding this tight angle in the corner of games, looking to wait and anticipate someone to push in through the rotate. AJ, we saw her in this position before, hugely threatening. Last time round she came up big there as well. MPX is going off this round, Crescent for 2 as well. This is going horrifically wrong for Calypso. They might be pushed to overtime. AJ goes down, so does Mons, but Aussie Princess is there. The 416 carbine, tried and true. Nocturnal bring themselves within 1 of overtime.
The huge comeback story that so far is forming up for Nocturnal is definitely one way to really call it, because right now this is following just about a similar pattern, really, comparative to the first half. 2-4 was the scoreline that was the end of the first half, and so far it seems like maybe we shall be seeing a 2-4 scoreline, but this time in favor of Nocturnal to come around to push this whole matchup into an overtime.
Well, split bomb site coming out yet again. Trophy statuary. It has been a rather tenuous one in the second half. It's been played once and it was Nocturnal that picked it up, so that should give them an indication they might be able to do it again. We see the doubling down here, though, from Nocturnal. They bring the Mute, they bring the Mozzie, pairing it with a Malusi and that Jaeger. There's information denial galore. You've got stall-out tactics with those Banshees. They're just going to eat up that utility, and not to mention they've also got Crescent running the Valkyrie. there's going to be a plethora of information available to Nocturnal. There's going to be a lot of information lacking for Calypso unless they can get those drones in some very, very key positions. And by the time they actually go for that execute, they're going to have to contest with not only the Banshees, but the ADSs as well. So, I mean, this is Nocturnal. They're putting all their eggs in the one basket. We see Fish Needle doing the same by bringing the Ying. This is, what happens when you bring an immovable object and pit it against an unstoppable force. And I think we're about to see the culmination of that in this round.
All of that, all of the planning, all of the preparation, all of the adaptations seem to be busted out here, right now. The Ying reintroduction into the roster is there, but this time it's in correlation with the IQ pick, so double the aggressiveness, double the gunfight potential, and it seems that right now it's a single P10 Roni to put up against this whole onslaught.
Look, I'm a big fan of P10 Roni. It is an absolute powerhouse of a gun if you can connect your shots, and AJ has been doing that quite well up at the moment. It's 12, 3, and 9. She's just putting the numbers up. Will be spotted out by a drone from main stairs, so we'll pull back for the time being. Back into 90. Playing around, Glazier might even just look to catch someone out on this balcony, anticipating some sort of drone. Has found one. So now that information becomes a tool for the defense, can spot out some of the attackers if used appropriately. But I think it's already been shot out. I believe, Time for Play may have picked that one up. So not going to give up too many opportunities here. This is just, you could cut the tension with a knife in this round. You could see the pressure that is mounting for both these teams. Calypso, if they win this, they get themselves yet another round on the board, another win on the scoreboard. They keep themselves in the top 4. If Nocturnal win this, they keep themselves in the top 2 going into next week.
And for Nocturnal, this will be a big thing. They need to win this matchup as much as possible, because losing out that initial momentum, that initial advantage in points is already hurting them. The round differential is going to be huge, and honestly, this is definitely quite a very difficult situation to even play around should it really come to fruition, and Calypso does win this matchup. So for Nocturnal, they want to keep up this win streak going.
They're pressuring, they're priming themselves. The Nocturnal girls, they're keeping themselves on their toes. They're really waiting for this inevitable onslaught that will be coming as we hit the final minute. Calypso, they're in position to go for this hectic, head to the wall type of execute that they're gearing themselves up for. They know that moments from now, it's all going to kick off. The explosivity is going to be there. AJ finds the kill on the Bosch to open things up. Again, a key player on the board that is no longer going to be there. It's that much harder to now deal with those Banshees. AJ just really proving a thorn in the side of Calypso. Present in the bathtub for the moment, trying to play around the mind games, trying to play off that misinformation. Time for Play has to pick up the diffuser with 20 seconds left. They've just got to flood onto the bomb site. That is the call that has been made. Banshee in the doorway of Statuary is going to make that nigh impossible. 12 seconds left. Time is just not in their favor right now. They've got to go for the hard execute. Mon's going to be tagged. AJ to go down, Repel to find it. They have to go for the plant, and Time for Play is doing just that for the moment. Trying to stick it out. Has to go for it, and unfortunately is gunned down. Aussie Princess will be traded, but the damage has already been done. Nocturnal push us to overtime.
Oh my goodness. And it's the final bullet before the death as well of Aussie Princess that pretty much won that round. 6-6, just like that. Overtime is in play, and it is going to be dining room and kitchen for Calypso to actually kick things off on attack. So that is going to be a bit of an issue here, seeing as currently Calypso are on a 4-round streak loss, and dining is going to be a decent side to really come and play around. But last time they've tried to attack it, let's just say it was by far the fastest ending to a round.
Yeah, a sub 1 minute round. It went catastrophically wrong purely off the back of that one Banshee that slowed everything down. So we do see Time for Play opt into the IQ instead. They are going to go for something a little bit more conventional. I mean, there is potential for a rush, but I think it's less than likely that we do see it coming out a second time around, given that the stakes are now infinitely higher as we head into OT. I think we're going to see this is, they're going to go back to basics. Calypso, they're going to go back to what they know, go back to the standard strategies for their attack, and unfortunately for them, having to attack twice on overtime is not a situation that a lot of teams want to be in on Villa, but this is where they are. They have to go for the round win if they can get it. And there's no, I mean, realistically, there's very little option otherwise.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
Yeah, and this time, overtime is the do or die for both of those teams. No more there's any kind of round advantage in either side. Right now, each and every round, each and every death is going to count here, seeing as well, Calypso will have only one chance really at their defense. The side that was very successful for them in every shape and form, but unfortunately the attack could... Well, attack only had 2 rounds won, and that was right at the beginning of the half before Nocturnal started making those adjustments. Funnily enough, actually, similar kind of playstyle Nocturnal brought on board that actually started scoring them the wins, and that is a very wide roam that didn't get counted in any shape or form. Already a down onto Repel and a C4 to boot is going to be the ending, and oh my god.
Time for Pi goes for the deny, says, you know what, that's my kill. Unfortunately, then lose 2 more off the back of it. 1 Nitro and 1 MP5. Diana just working away in through laundry. This is not how you wanted overtime to start off, and Monty Princess has followed up in much the same fashion, pinging out her own Nitro cell, which stuck on top of the wall. Not going to find anything. Diana and Bosch a little bit isolated. They're not quite together. They will join up for the moment. And, well, the question then becomes, where do they look to execute? I think Pantry is the call that has been made of a lot. Depending on where you are as to what you call it, X-Kairos will be used to open up the wall for now. Just maybe the misinformation play is the call. Try and drive that focus. They're not going for the detonate yet. I think they're just trying to play the misinformation. No, there's a mute jammer. Okay, sorry, I didn't see it through the debris there, but... This leaves them with very little options and unfortunately far more time than they possibly could want. But it does mean that Calypso have an option here. They can just play the clock. They can go up to the roof, try to avoid dying, use the time left available to them to discuss what they need to do on their defensive round.
Yeah, sounds like that could be the play, although Bosch still maybe looks at finding maybe a few exit frags. But as a matter of fact, actually Diana, well, was attempting to go in for a flank around, but AJ Tiger had that shut down very quickly. So that does leave the Zoff all alone, and well, without waiting any longer, well, there's a shutdown. So Nocturnal are back into the lead points-wise here, 7-6, after already taking 5 rounds in a row. And now we are going to be switching over to the side. So this side is where Calypso need to win if they do want to stay in this matchup, because otherwise this is going to be a very quick ending to it, I feel.
I mean, for the first time since the opener of Villa, Nocturnal has the round lead. That's not a situation that you see very often in competitive Rainbow Six Siege, but it just speaks to just how determined, just how, capable this Nocturnal roster is. They're sticking with it. We are going to see double French operators coming out again here around number 14 as we head to Trophy and Statuary. Are we going to see the shotguns making an appearance again?
Quite possibly.
How effective are they going to be is the real question. We've got 2.
Yes.
There we go. Diana and Time for Pi. Both sitting on 9 frags, 10 deaths. So they are sitting neck and neck right now. It's... this is something that I'm definitely going to put to them after the, going into the weekend. Find out what the thought process is behind these shotguns.
Yeah, the shotgun's choice is definitely one of the most odd ones that we've seen in a while now. So definitely curious what is the decision making behind that. But hey, it worked out before relatively well, and the overall just the sheer factor of how hard you could shut down certain pushes with those shotguns is amazing.
I mean, we've seen 1 and 1 3/4 kills with the shotgun out of the 2 French operators so far. So hopefully we see something a little bit more significant in this round. I mean, if there was a round to pull it out, this is the one for sure. Well, last time the response was quite quick and quite succinct out of Nocturnal. They went for the pinch out of the walk-in closet, so unfortunately Diana was only able to find the one before she did go down. Hopefully this time around she has more freedom to work and maybe can pick up some more significant damage.
Here's the one thing that I do want to talk about. The introduction of Ace after all of these rounds, only now we are seeing the Ace to be brought on board. Do you reckon this is just purely for the fragging power, or do you reckon just a slight change of utility plus the introduction of the smoke grenades?
I mean, okay, Crescent gonna open things up on a fish noodle again. Crescent has just been going absolutely off. That's such a disgusting angle to be caught out by. One of the most infuriating angles to be caught out by as a defender as well. But I mean, you've got two very capable hard breaches. You look at the Type 89 in the hands of Hibana. Very, very powerful gun. Such a high fire rate. It's exactly what you're looking for as an attacker. The AK-12, just as capable in the right hands. Ranged hard breach, I think you've got a little bit more security with the Ace because you can throw it and sort of walk away. You don't have to sit there. The cycle time is a little bit quicker with the Selma rather than the X-Kairos. And then you've got smoke grenades versus stun grenades. So I think both fulfill a very, very good role in the hard breaching side of things, but I think Ace I prefer a little bit more. There we go! There we go! Time for Pi, puts Crescent down. That's what you're looking for. Big shotgun kill, brings it back, even man count. Unfortunately, Repel is the sacrifice that does get picked up by Nocturnal instead. But I mean, I don't care. Shotgun play is the name of the game.
A bomb has been located.
Certainly does look at it. Sorry, looks like it. There we go. As it's for now, Mons just set up a few of those flank watching setups. Quick peek out maybe by Diana will have enough range to potentially down Sav, but right now, quick buff up. Let's go. Let's do this. Can we find that shot? Already sights are trained at that very doorway already, potentially spotted out, so the moment the peek comes around, oh, that's some damage onto Mons. That's some more damage, but no down just yet. Boshi already found a kill, but a pistol out is not the best decision, although maybe it is finding a shot, but Nocturnal are the ones to shut it down.
Sav does get the redemption in the end. She finds the final two to pick up the win. Just lines them up as they swing into the bomb site. She was having an absolute nightmare of a match. She was at 3 frags for the longest time, and it only makes sense for her to pick up those final ones, close it out, end the nightmare. Nocturnal, they do get the reverse. They bring it back in overtime in the end. But, I mean, it was a hard-fought road for them. Calypso made them work every single step. And, I mean, Crescent and AJ really, really stepped up for the majority of that match.
Yeah, an absolute banger of a matchup that turned out into a full-blown overtime run. 8-6. Congratulations to Nocturnal, getting closer and closer to the potential at top 3 contention for that for the sweet dollary dues there. But look, congrats Nocturnal. Unfortunate loss for Calypso, as they were just that close to winning. Couldn't really find that final round, and after, well, what was it, about 6 rounds in a row, unfortunately succumbed to a loss. But still, there's going to be plenty more games, plenty of more matches to really play around.
Yeah, I mean, that also keeps them towards the top of the table. They're still top 2 after that. They've picked up 3 victories so far in our 3 play weeks. So they are sitting just behind Elevate, who they've got a little bit of better of a match differential at the moment. They won their match earlier 7-0, if I remember correctly. So they're sitting rather safe at the top of the leaderboard for now. But we will have a bit of a break before we do head into our second matchup of the night. It is going to be another very important matchup at that. It is going to be Grumpy Grapes versus 71st. They are trying to get their first win on the board, so there's a lot riding on this one.
Definitely. And, we shall see you after a short break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I have to stop going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you.
I have to start going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you.
To you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back. Back to you. 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 Back to you.
I have to start going back.
Enter into a new dimension of creation. The power to design, animate, and edit. Cool and quiet as you create, with breathtaking graphics performance. The way you create will never be the same.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to matchup number 2 of this day for Women's League. Cthulhu and Panda are still on the mic. And Panda, I mean, so far we've seen a banger of a matchup between Calypso and Nocturnal. We've seen
the last 3 matches we've had on stream have been the longer ones, and they've been phenomenal games at that. But you're not wrong. I don't think any of the matches we've had so far this season have come close to what we just saw. I mean, by all rights, if you had given me that score at halftime, I would have said Calypso closed it out, 100%. But Nocturnal, they bring it back to OT, they win OT, and the way they did it was just phenomenal. Krez and AJ stepped up huge. They took the gunfights, they won them consistently. Sev, redeemed herself towards the end. She really, really struggled throughout the middle part of that map, but by lighting the last 2 kills up, closing out the map, they just did it in style.
Oh, yeah. 100%, yeah. The final few rounds were definitely absolute just bangers that we couldn't possibly witness before. But look, for now, let's also have a look at the overall schedule, how other matches resulted as well. 7-0 for Elevate against Nutty Gaming, quite an unexpected scoreline, and then a 7-2 for Rens to actually win out against Benix. So unfortunately for Benix, no more chance for tonight, at least, to score another point. So we have one more match, one more very deciding match as well. Grumpy Grapes versus 71st Recon.
Yeah, 71st Recon, they're unfortunately in a very, very similar boat to the Benix at the moment. Both teams were looking for their first win tonight. Unfortunately, Benix haven't been able to find it. 71st Recon, they now have their opportunity to get themselves a win on the board. Grumpy Grapes, though, I think they're going to be quite a hurdle to overcome, in all honesty. We saw them play, last week, they played very, very well as well. On top of that, we saw them take an 8-6 victory over Nutty, and the map that they played on is also going to be the map we're playing on tonight, so we are going to see, yet again, Clubhouse making its way through here, Cthulhu. And I think the theme of this season of the XP Esports Women's League is Clubhouse.
Quite possibly. Well, let's actually dive a little bit deeper into this matchup. Let's have a look at the rosters and quickly talk about some of the players. That is Yoshi, Scoops Gaming, Cass, Noblewick, and Aussie Ash91. So far, 2 members that were introduced into the Grumpy Grapes roster actually showed us some pretty quality performances.
Yeah, there were some very, very standout plays that we saw from the Grumpy Grapes last week. Yes, they did get taken to OT. Yes, it was a very, very close result at the end of the day. But, Grumpy, they have that potential to be one of the standout teams in this competition. There's some things that need refining, and if they can do that, especially with the players that they have on board, the likes of Cass, the likes of Scoop, even just the entire roster has been one that has played quite well cohesively together. So it's definitely it's going to be interesting to see how they round themselves out coming into the end of the season.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look as well at the 71st roster, the returning roster that has been seeing quite a few pretty decent matches, although so far within this season it's been a little bit rough for them. It is Zero Prince, it is Weasel, Ticked Off, Meeps, and Mystique, the freshest introduction to the roster. And overall, looking at the stats, not particularly one of the flashiest, but definitely they've shown us some really quality playouts.
Yeah, look, hey, 71st Recon, they do have some very, very good players on the roster. There's some very, very well-known names in the competition. They haven't been able to hit their stride yet. And coming into this week, this is one of those situations where if you don't start to build some momentum now, you're probably going to struggle throughout the rest of the season. Not to say that they're a bad team by any means. It's just one of those things of you either, hit the ground running or you find yourself stumbling more often than not. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them pick up a couple of wins throughout the end of the season. But if they don't pick up one here, I think they're going to struggle to break out of the bottom 4.
Indeed. Well, let's actually quickly have a look once again at the map ban as well to just refresh our memories. We've already just talked about Clubhouse, that it seems to be the flavor of the season so far. And look, honestly, I can get behind this. Although Clubhouse already, we've seen almost 3, if not 4 clubhouses already in the span of first 2 days, which definitely has been interesting, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's seen its fair share of play through the opening couple of weeks. I think on our first play week, it was 3 of 4 maps played. Week number 2, it was just as plentiful. We saw, I think actually it was only half of the maps that we saw played. So we were slowly whittling away the amount of Clubhouse we're seeing week on week. But it's probably, yeah, it would easily be the most played map so far this season.
Definitely. Well, here comes Clubhouse, and look, I'm really, really excited to see how things will really play out here. Both teams are just about on almost equal level, and yeah, quite keen to see what would be the scoreline. I'm definitely won't put it past the idea of possibly another overtime, but we'll have to see, I suppose. Ban phase coming right up. Do you reckon we shall be seeing anything out of norm, or just plainly by the book?
I think we're going to see some straight cookie cutter bans. I'm anticipating a Thatcher. I'm anticipating a Maverick, something like that. If not a Maverick, probably an Ace. And then, yeah, there we go. Maverick already the first one taken off the board. It's Grumpy Grapes to do it. Now it becomes the option of sitting first recon. Do they leave Thatcher in the pool so that they have it available for themselves? Do they ban away the Ace? What is the play here? And they're just going to straight ban it out. They're going to rely on, the what has become more of the norm at the moment. 9 times out of 10 on Clubhouse, you're going to see these 2 operators banned. You're going to want to go for like the likes of a Zofia, something like that, which will, on CCTV, open up the floor below, deny that, deal with that breach denial. Cade as well makes a huge amount of sense.
Okay.
When these 2 attackers are off the board, you are 9 times out of 10 going to see a Cade ban paired with it.
Yeah, 100%. I'll agree with you on that. Cade, especially on sites like the CCTV and Cache, even Gym Bedroom can really hide his claws in a really, really sneaky spots. And well, Mira ban to boot it all definitely looks like a pretty well-rounded ban phase overall for both teams, still opening up quite a few options for each roster. So I'm quite curious to see what will both teams make do over this.
Yeah, this is what we're seeing more and more often from teams is you head to Gym Bedroom first, you go for the tertiary bomb site, try and throw your opponents off, get this round a win on the board for yourselves, and then you can comfortably go CCTV or basement in the next round. So I think it's a momentum staller for a lot of attacking teams. You're not going into a map anticipating a first round Gym Bedroom. So I'm glad to see Grumpy Grapes are bringing this level of forethought to the board.
Oh yeah, and even with their 6 picks, they were very cautious about which one do they 6 pick and bring, and switching over Bandit to a castle, though few questions are there given the fact that there's still going to be plenty of utility, but it looks like maybe they are more so just playing utility drain here.
Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy out of the ordinary. We're going for a standard castle setup. You're going to see the floor opened up throughout between the 2 bomb sites, so you can contest if someone does jump in. You're going to get an ADS or 2 even in Gym 1, probably around the drone hole, with castle barricades, in Gym window, Gym door, and potentially in construction, depending on what the team's doing. Plus, the stock standard extension all the way over to Cache. So this is a strategy that a lot of teams are playing at the moment. It's one that's very well known. So this is a potential. The potential here is that 71st Recon understand how to play this because everyone else is doing it, and they know how to approach this and win the round themselves.
Interesting setup so far, and actually on the extended hold, because the wall is not actually fully reinforced, and it seems that maybe Yoshi up was looking into going for maybe a spawn peak, but it seems that that's not the case anymore. So Weasel will just be left with, well, there was a soft wall, not anymore. So
yeah, that's sad reacts only there, unfortunately. You're like, you Weasel, you're like, yeah, cool, easy wall, I'm just going to go and do it. They reinforced it. Never mind, guys. Let's go somewhere else. And yeah, that's unfortunately what 71st Recon are now going to have to do. I think this is already Grumpy Grapes. It's a combination of they're setting up, they're going for the deterrent of going gym bedroom first. They're also playing the mind games of a late reinforcement, giving 71st Recon the belief that they could have gone in through the conventional means. And now you've got Nova, who's aggressively contesting in Logi as well. The drone spotted him out, so we could see an aggressive drop by Meeps or potentially even Zero there. But no, they're going to take their time. They're going to do the droning. They understand that they have room to work with.
Most definitely. Meeps now trying to be really careful about her drone, as this is her last one. Also trying to maybe catch some sort of information. For now, Novawick is still relatively all tucked away, and her position is still unknown, but Meeps has a hunch, I feel. So far, the only advancement that has been done is really just busting through one of the castle barricades. There's still one open there, and there's still no way that the offense will be able to deal with this, and already half a round is also gone.
Bomb located by attackers.
Windows being open, utility being burned very, very quickly. Ticked off trying to get that second castle barricade as well, and it will be open. Throws the final one in towards those bandit batteries that were... Sorry, not bandit batteries, the mute jammer that was being positioned to deny Jacuzzi walls. So they have that option. Weasel is going to start that up now. But Cass just opening things up, going to be pulling back, looking to get herself back in the contested bomb site. But Yoshi opens up Zero, the first one to go down, losing the Nomad early, all the way downstairs, mind you. That's not a position you want to be losing a player in. You want to have that security that you can go for the push up the main stairs. But Meeps is going to get the equalizer, Nova to go down, spots the head of yet another, but the SMG-11 is just too much of a hose. Cass swings out, finds the head of the SAS counterpart, ticked off, and Mystique will double up two apiece, well, one apiece, so onto Yoshi and Aussie. Scoops is in a bit of trouble, so it's just going to be Mute and Smoke to try and lock this one down against the three remaining players of 71st.
Definitely now some quick turnarounds here by 71st to try to lock down some crossfires for now. At the very least, they have the player advantage, and Cass needs to start rotating over to the side because Scoops is about to get overran really quickly, although it can be funneled very quickly. There's one kill, another one has been missed out. Weasel is just gonna flat out send it and try to deny the plant. There's another one. Mystique just goes down, and well, the plant has gone down, but straight away, just complete disrespect, Scoops is able to find that last kill.
I mean, it was a great start there for 71st Recon. They got a couple of key frags back after losing the initial one. But Grumpy Grapes, the SAS players for these, well, the respective players for this Grumpy Grapes roster, they win their gunfights. The SMG-11 is just an absolute fire spitter, and they connect. They win gym bedroom. They now have that security of going to either basement or CCTV cache, and that's a pivotal round to be picking up early on.
100%, yeah. With some early advantage, it is going to be a huge thing, especially for Grumpy Grapes to get into this. For 71st, though, now it's going to be throwing them at a bit of a discussion as to which side is going to be next. Surely, at this point, they're going to try to go for something like maybe CCTV, maybe it is going to be Church. And that said, the Capcan pick, being 6th pick off onto Valkyrie, will be bringing in even more info gathering here for GG, seeing as they also brought on board the Alibi to
Defenders, protect your bombs
to
from being
really
defused
talk
by
about
attackers.
all the setup and baiting the attack into going for certain pre-fires, exposing their location and draining some of the ammunition as well. So overall, this is a solid turnout, and right now, well, 71st will definitely know that the setup is being done downstairs. Main question here being is, are we going to see an extended hold up above? And well, the answer to that so far seems to be yes, at least even partially with the utility.
I mean, look, I'm a big fan of the Alibi, although usually when I play it, it's with the ACS-12, not the MX-4. But, I mean, the misinformation, the ability to convince your opponent that you are not where you are is such a powerful tool. And you can see Yoshi setting up. Look, that's such a dirty bullet hole too into kitchen. That's going to catch out someone big time if they are not droning this out effectively. And with those prismas in position, you've got to double. You're going to have to second guess yourself. Is this the actual Alibi? Where is she actually? And only once you've actually either killed her or droned her out, you just going to consistently be second guessing yourself and coming into the building.
100%. Yoshi forced out of her position for a little bit to open up a rotation point for the roam up above, will be also droned out by Weasel. So now at the very least the position has been called out and maybe a pre-fire is going to be there in place. Yoshi forced out of that cheeky spot, but no, actually instead it will be trying to still contest that, seeing as I don't think the drone has spotted the actual bullet holes, but a cheeky grenade could fly around.
Well, it's about using that utility, connecting it, leaps, just walking away into stock. Mystique, upside down rappel outside of kitchen window, was trying to go for play. Cass, this is something that we've seen Grumpy Grapes do previously. Yoshi finds a kill onto Weasel. They lose out on the thermite. Now they have one hard breacher left. Mystique, and I believe one set of X-Kairos has already been used. At least they did get Dirt Tunnel open, so they can go for the push that direction. But again, it's a fatal funnel. If you go for an execute out of Dirt Tunnel and the defenders are aware, you might as well be throwing yourself into a blender.
Well, so far it looks like it's a bit of a stalemate now between the two teams, not being able to find the right decision here for 71st, whether to just flat out keep on forcing the push or try to hunt some of the attack. Oh, Yoshi potentially has been spotted by that drone, or at the very least gave away her general whereabouts, and ticked off. Well, now she's going to be trying to hold some angles, but instead just decides to push away. Zero Prince, oh no, that is not what you want right now. Taking out Meeps as well, without even dishing out any damage to the opposition, and Yoshi as well follows up on that whole play.
Oh, just unfortunate there for Yoshi, who had already put in so much legwork in the round. Picked up just in the right place, finds one.
No.
Can't quite spot the head there over the table in church, so Nova will return with the MP5. A gun not often seen on mute, but hey, look, it's already been put to good work so far for Grumpy Grapes. They've 20 seconds left to try and defend this. Zero has one kill under the belt. Unfortunately, it was also on a teammate, so has to find 4 to try and win this out with 15 seconds left and not a huge amount of utility or information available. Unlikely that we're going to see it clutched out. We'll swing into church, looking for the frag, can't quite find it. Out of ammo in the mag. Toxic canister there, pistol in hand, can't find much of anything. Nova finds the second in the round. Grumpy Grapes with yet another very convincing defense.
I'll even say that this is probably even more convincing than what Grumpy Grapes done on the gym bedroom defense. So this is overall already has been a much more dominant performance from them. The main question being now is, say Grumpy Grapes push this into 4-2 or 5-1 scoreline. Are we going to see the same domination on their attack? Or is this going to be yet again another game of who can dish out more rounds on defense?
Yeah, I mean, Clubhouse is in that weird purgatory of, is it attacker-sided, is it defender-sided? I think at the moment it's just that much, it's that well known as a map for the defenders that it is slightly more attacker-sided. There's nothing in terms of defense that is going to catch you wildly off guard. So the onus is largely on attacking teams to be winning their rounds and then doing what they can in the defense. Unfortunately, Grumpy Grapes, I think this is the familiarity is there for them. They have only played Clubhouse so far this season, so it makes sense that they should feel comfortable on it. 71st Recon, they've played one match on Oregon, one match on Clubhouse. Their Clubhouse match, they got 7-0'd by Nocturnal. Their Oregon match, they got 7-2 by Rens. So they're still trying to gel. They're still struggling a little bit on their feet at the moment. Hopefully they can regain them. Hopefully they can start swinging out of the gate and maybe look to get themselves back into it at the moment.
The one thing, though, I did notice previously is a very unusual trend of that happened in Calypso and Nocturnal game, and it seems to be happening here as well, is that the more there is of a kind of offside roam, the more kind of late roam there is, the less of a chance you're going to get caught off on that. So it seems that for defense, it is only natural to go in for that late roam, because it so far had borderline 100% success rate. And we also not going to be talking about the fact that Yoshi tried to go for a cheeky spawn peek and got absolutely rolled there without even dealing any damage.
Yeah, I mean, MPX versus the M762, very rarely, unless you just straight up headshot your opponent, are you going to win that with the MPX, and that's why you see the majority of Zofia mains just being very, very capable fraggers. At the moment, again, It's looking like it's a good start for 71st Recon. There's 2 minutes left on the clock. They've found the opener onto the Valkyrie, no less, and Yoshi, who has been a consistently strong fragger for Grumpy Grapes. This could be the opening they need. We could see an aggressive hatch drop here, but no, TikTok's going to go outside, look to cover their bases, look to deal with the cameras that are giving away positions. Cass, in secret, might be able to find something. The pings are there. They know that someone is outside. We could see a jump out that could cost 71st, and well, Meeps finds Cass down below. It doesn't matter. It was going to be ambitious, but unfortunately, it didn't pay out any dividends.
Not at all, and well, that does leave with only 3 remaining defenders all on site, holding their respective angles, so still most of the push angles have been so far covered. No push so far yet through the master bedroom, but Zero Prince is looking to change that outcome. And if that actually going to come to fruition, this is going to be a huge thing, because right now, not a single player is even looking that way.
Well, TikTok finds a second in the round, and so far, it has been an uncontested start to round number 3 for the CCTV cash defense. Once again, it's Nova and Scoops left alone, but it's ticked off for a third, maybe even a fourth. No, unfortunately, Scoops just too good with that SMG-11. Has yet to die so far this map. He's going to look for a fourth, but can't quite find it. Scoops in a 1v4 situation. The pressure is mounting, being pitched in on this bomb site. Diffuser is down. Is going to get the down and the kill on a 0, so 2 kills so far for her. To find even more with time ticking away. I think at the moment any kills on top of this is just going to be a consolation prize.
Yeah, definitely. With the fact that all 3 players of 71st have their sights trained, it's only a matter of time, and there we go. The round 3 has been lost by Grumpy Grapes, but this does mark finally the first round that has been taken by 71st, so at the very least there will not be any way for the flawless first half. So maybe now we are going to be start seeing a comeback from 71st, or quite possibly this was just a break before the rest of the storm, I suppose, comes around, because we are going to go back to gym and bedroom side. The side that actually has been picked from the get-go, from the very beginning of this matchup, and worked out relatively well, although it did come down to a 1v2 situation where Scoops actually had to defend the side for the most of it on her own.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation where you're left in that, you know, do or die situation where you have to go through the clutch. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully you can just win your heads up gunfights. But at the moment, I mean, Grumpy Grapes, they've won this bomb site. They won it reasonably well. 2v, I think it was 3 in the end, and they did take it up quite cleanly and diffused it off the back of it. But that last round, the cracks are starting to show here for the Grumpy Grapes. 71st Recon, I mean, it was almost entirely, you know, a full sweep until Scoops got involved and started finding kills. So it's on, the onus is there for Grumpy Grapes to stem the bleeding, you know, make it so that it was just that one flash in the pan and start the rolling of the round pickups again.
Well, momentum is something that we've been mentioning quite a few times before. It was a huge talking point back in previous seasons, so quite possibly this is going to be the time when we talk about it as well. Some late reinforcements to come out from Grumpy Grapes at the last moment by the castle, but apart from that, everything else looks relatively usual, by the book, borderline. Few angles to be opened up to assist in defending the cash room, but really apart from that, we got pretty much just as standardized of a hold as possible. Yoshi playing from below, now that is going to be the player that could potentially throw in a spanner in the works of the attack of 71st, and well, for 71st, it looks like they are actually coming in quite prepared. They are pushing from the strip club, which should allow good cutoff on some of the rotations.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done here. Aussie being tagged up through that drone hole. Weasel on the rappel outside Jacuzzi, just going for the toes. And it's one of those situations where any advantage you can find is one that you need to capitalize on. That's exactly what happened. Now Aussie sitting below half. Unfortunately has yet to find a frag, but still in a position where she could contribute to the round as we are getting closer and closer to the second half of this fourth round. And I mean, Cass just wants some frags.
Yeah, Cass just flat out just reveals her position in chat, saying, "Yo, just please, just I would like some action." But it seems that the action is coming instead to Yoshi, as Novawick also stacking up quite some damage. Zero Prince got the angle set up there, ready to frag out, but ooh, it's a trade actually, as a matter of fact.
And they go toe to toe. One apiece down. The Nomad, you've got to hope that the utility was used. Otherwise, I mean, that's a bigger pickup for Grumpy Grapes than it is for 71st. You can see one on the main stairs at the very least, so you'd have to imagine that Zero has done her job a little bit. Meep's going to find Nova, so Castle again. Again, not a huge loss, the UMP-45, not the greatest of guns, but at least it is a gun in some of these situations. 50 seconds left, though, on the clock. We've seen this position before, Cthulhu. Scoop's going down. A bit of a deviation, but it's a 4 versus 2. We've seen Grumpy Grapes clutch this one up. Aussie does go down. Meep's finding another one. 71st, they're really seeming to find their stride coming into the later half of, well, the later end of this first half.
Yeah, definitely. They've looking much more well organized, much more just prepared for some of these gunfights. Ticked off, popping off so many times already. We've seen her on the announcer going for double, triple kills and just absolutely just sending it, and seems to be working out quite well. Borderline, it almost feels similar to how we've seen Nocturnal going for the push with Sav, kind of spearheading the push. Similar here, Ticked off looking to kind of replicate that kind of success.
Well, I mean, we're back even at the moment, 2-2. Despite the ripping start that we saw from Grumpy Grapes, they have been matched. We are going to be heading back down to basement as well. So, I mean, off the back of a CCTV loss and a gym loss, this is the one bomb site they still have yet to drop around on. We see Yoshi back on the alibi despite her phenomenal start. Really hasn't found too much in the last couple of rounds, being the opening gunfight going the way of 71st the last 2 rounds. I would imagine potentially we see a slightly more passive setup from her.
Yeah, the setup definitely maybe needs to change here, seeing as just overall things weren't looking too pretty for Grumpy Grapes. This time, yeah, this side should definitely be the one to really break the streak here. 2-2 scoreline is something that at this point Grumpy Grapes need to make sure that they playing off that really well. But here's an interesting thing to really actually talk about. Dirt tunnel entrance completely left soft. No reinforcements whatsoever. We have, well, all the hatches reinforced, so at least there's that. But the rest is kind of being left with a bit of an open-ended, I suppose, response here.
Well, I mean, it's something that some teams do. They rely on what is their smoke. Their smoke set up to contest through dirt tunnel. Those toxic canisters will slow things down. Not to mention the ADSs and the shield make it that much harder to burn through the utility, make it that much harder to threaten the smoke. And then even if you do get all of that, you've got an M590 and SMG11 that you then need to contest with. And Weasel is going to drone it out, is going to spot the shield and the setup there, so knows that there is scoops waiting for him. I would imagine we're probably going to see an internal building push here. Yeah, Weasel not going to have any bar of it. You don't want to contest the smoke in that sort of environment. There's so much that has to go right for you. You just have to win at your gunfight. You can't chance it, and you're better off just going for the more conventional avenues.
Exactly. Well, already the play from above is paying off, as that's the first set of the Hibana charges now taken away, and that's also the now indication that the push needs to happen on the top floor, because right now that's the second set of the Hibana charges that have been completely denied, and Mystique now, after the second mistake, will be promptly falling back from this, so this is already solid start here, although now Meeps and Ticktoff are the ones to go on a hunt and quite possibly would have the drop on the defenders.
Well, they want to clear out the top floor. They want to clear out the real threat that has been the roam. Oh, just spotted from behind. Yoshi again. The opening gunfight. This time it's Meeks to collect. And this is just devastating. This primary fragger, this key player, and a lot of their early wins has gone down. Cass as well. Things are starting to crumble a little bit here for Grumpy Grapes.
Yeah, already losing both of their roamers, things are not looking too well. Not being able to also deny the, or rather do the impact trick is already yet another issue, and with the hatch now open, Ozzy needs to fall back, because otherwise this could be an issue already getting tagged up, and Ticked Up is about to go in for the swing, gets the kill. 2v5 just like that. It just looks like it's borderline just bullying at this point.
One player left, Meeps down. It's looking like it might be that flawless round win. Ticked, just going for the the team play. Gonna pick up her teammate. Gonna be tagged by Nova, who now has to reload as the diffuser is going down. Nova could still potentially clutch this out. It would rely on winning a gunfight and killing the player on the defuse. Swinging in, Tick does go down, just straight up running into the iron sight, or the 1.5 times scope of Nova. But Meeps is there to collect, and that's a third round in a row now, Cthulhu, that one, Yoshi has been the opening victim, and two, 71st Recon has won.
Yeah, 71st Recon doing a little bit of a cheeky turnaround here, bringing in the frags, bringing in the lead, 3 round in a row success rate, and well, looking into potentially securing the first half into their favor whilst being on attack, which is in Women's League has been a little bit of a struggle for some of the teams, but it seems that Grumpy Grapes in this very scenario are looking quite dominant.
Well, I mean, we are 1 round away from the switch over. We could potentially see that 3-3 half. We could potentially saw what you saw in the last map, which is a 4-2 split, going the way of the attack, and it could be turned on its head here. 71st Recon, they're not done just yet. They've still got a few more rounds to get before they close things out. I mean, this is a far better showing than what we've seen from them previously, and if there's any indication of what they're capable of, they could push for top 4.
Yeah, with this turnout so far, yeah, it's definitely looking like Grumpy Grapes could quite possibly be that kind of that dark horse to be introduced to that top 4. In a similar way how last season 71st were brought in, or rather pushed themselves more so onto that top 4 for quite a long while in the group stage, and honestly showed us a really quality turnout, whereas here right now, well, quite possibly maybe they will be able to do the very same thing here, or maybe Grumpy Grapes will make a turnaround. We'll have to find out, but so far, honestly, 71st has been doing quite a solid job.
Well, we are heading into the final round. Action phase is underway. Cass picking up something a little bit different on their own. It's going to be a Vigil instead, this time going for a spray. No shots connecting there. We'll just pull ourselves back down into blue. Tick off. Very lucky to escape in the way that she did. Currently leading the scoreboard at the moment, 8-0-4. This entry player for 71st Recon really has been pivotal in how these rounds have played out for the team. Yoshi playing on main stairs. Has to be careful, has been the victim of the opening gunfight. It's 3 rounds in a row, just 3 rounds where she really hasn't been able to contribute significantly in any way. So if there was a round to break that streak, if there was a round for her to stay alive and contribute, it's got to be this one.
100%. Looking at the lineup so far, oh, Yoshi will be able to actually finally score herself that frag, finally that opening frag, instead of being fragged out upon. And right now, well, the rest of the hunting party is actually going to start coming around. TikTok is there to start contesting the gunfight and knows very well to maybe it won't be the good idea to try to contest against the Pixel, but running straight into the gunfight, Cass will be winning out against TikTok with ease.
Lamau Shift W doesn't work out all the time. And Cass stepping it up here. And round number 6 has found a number already. 2 left, it's Mystique and Weasel. What can they do? The 2 hard breaches, so at least they could look to get some more hatches open. That is about the long and short of it at the moment. But with a minute left to play, I think this, again, it might be a case of just play the clock. Talk about what's going wrong with your team. Figure out what you need to do to go into the second half. You've still... Yeah, it's going to be a 3-3 half, which isn't the worst situation. You're also then hitting on the defense. Oh my lord, Yoshi with a long-range spray. Steals it away from Cass, but Cass gets the other one in the end. It's going to be a flawless round win, going the way of Grumpy Grapes, and that is exactly the sort of momentum they needed.
Well, that's the first half concluded. Grumpy Grapes were able to quite firmly shut down the final round in their favor, and now they are going to be the ones going on the attack. Now, we've been mentioning this quite a few times, whether the fact that Clubhouse right now is in a very weird state where theoretically it can be attack-decided, but it also can be very much defend-decided. And so far, both of the teams were able to prove that both of these theories can be very well proven. And well, interestingly enough, we are going to be seeing a switch over from a gridlock to a jackal, which two
I mean,
borderline polar
potato,
opposite.
potato.
Ah,
Like, one is a preemptive roam denier, the other one is a roam hunter. So they fill similar roles in all
Attackers
honesty.
need to
Kinda,
locate and
yeah.
defuse as many bombs
Suppose,
as they
yeah.
can.
Kind of, yeah,
Right.
kind of yes, kind of no, but like,
kind of, yeah. Kinda,
I think one is proactive, which is the jackal you're actively hunting whoever is on the roam, whereas you've got Gridlock who is saying we want to put this in place so that we don't have to worry about the roam, sort of like a nomad. But I mean, Gridlock just isn't quite as competitively relevant. I think it's going to be interesting when we go into the new season and she gets the new secondary, the Gon 6, which is basically a pocket Ash breaching round. So I think maybe we see her come back into the competitive realms, but at the moment she's just a little bit lacking when it comes to a jackal.
I'm actually quite surprised that we haven't seen too much of the KB, because in her current situation, she is in a very powerful state. Because think of it this way: so she has a fantastic tool in her calls that allows the kind of the enforcement of the active roam clear, or rather even active just dislodgement of some of the defender positions. That's one. Two, she has frag grenades. And three, her whole loadout is actually quite solid. Even the SMG-12, the gun that has the recoil probably harder than... actually, no, I'm not going to make that joke. But very difficult recoil to control. And a DMR that hits really hard and very easy to control. It almost feels like a no-brainer to me.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things you enjoy those frag grenades while they last, because from what I've read, going into the next season, she's losing them. That would be a change that is coming. So, yeah, I mean, she did see a bit of play here and there through comp in the likes of Tier 3 in North America and EU and a little bit all over the world, but just she wasn't quite relevant enough to stick with the the main roster of attacking operators. But at the moment, we're in round number 7. It's 3-3. We're getting closer to the second half of this round. No blood has been drawn just yet. Lines seen, opponents seen. They are very aware of some of the positioning here, but Mystique in lounge at the moment knows there's someone in secret. And Cass just going to play it safe, pull out, go towards Stott, open up the barricade there potentially, and look to push it in that direction, go for a pinch onto this castle. It's an interesting pick here for a bomb site like CCTV.
Yeah, the castle choice has definitely been quite an interesting one. Oddly enough, talking about interesting ones, Weasel, well, not for long, will be able to stay alive after finding the frag, but that's just a trade central out here. Bedroom is just a bloodbath. That's what's happening all around the area. Meeps is the one to find the shot onto Scoops Gaming, and right now, Grumpy Grapes are not looking too shabby, or rather, not too well.
Yeah, they are definitely struggling a little bit here. Man count, God, they've lost the Jackal and the Zofia. I mean, at the moment, the biggest problem isn't finding those roamers or dealing with that utility. It's getting into the bomb site, and ticked off. Going to find Aussie as well. Losing out on the Nomad at this stage, not the biggest of losses, but it's a gun off the board. It's a player off the board. It's now another player relegated to the cameras. Nova and Cass have to do something. 4 players remaining for a 71st. A lot of base is being covered currently, as they've got Rafters, they've got Cash, CCTV, and Top Red locked down for the moment. And they've even got a barricade in place. There's just so much work that needs to be done. And Ticked Off is ready and waiting, saying, hello, pick up this phone, please. Throw in, exploded, damage done to Cass. SMG-11 line up. Ticked Off just murked the remaining 2 members of Grumpy Game.
Oh my god, that has to be a highlight. That is one way to end a round, and if that doesn't put a nail in the coffin of the confidence for the push of Grumpy Graves, I don't know what will, man.
I mean, maybe it's not necessarily a dent in the confidence of Grumpy Grapes, but a bolstering of the confidence for 71st Recon. They're 3 rounds away from picking up their first win of the season. I think they can taste it at this stage. They win CCTV. They're going to be heading down to the basement now. We have yet to see them go to Gym Bedroom, but I think that's because they're going for a different approach here at the moment. But, I mean, again, it's a case of the momentum looks good. The way they're approaching this map feels very good, and this feels like it could be their first win.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, with that said, though, we did see
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Grumpy
bombs.
Grapes very much reply with some heavy retaliation whenever 71st got really close to ramping up a some sort of a streak of rounds. And with that said, quite possibly Grumpy Grapes could make a comeback here, but also, yes, 71st certainly looking pretty solid, especially on defense.
I mean, I think that this is probably the best case scenario for them. They picked up 3 rounds in the opening half. They now head to the defense, which, I mean, the majority of teams will feel more comfortable on defense. You get those odd exceptions that they're the attacking teams. 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that just swing every angle and try and take every gunfight that way, but more often than not, you will find teams that are more comfortable on defense. They're going to feel happier. And once again, both teams have gone for this play on a basement defense. You open up the floor in Logi, you can test the hatch above by shooting out X-Kairos or Selmas or whatever you're bringing to the table, and you deny the hatch that way. I got to witness an American team who they played the Maestro, they put the Evil Eye camp in the lockers up there and used the Evil Eye to deny the X-Kairos, but it's one of those things that can be countered quite easily. So put a person up there with it, especially someone running the 416 carbine. You might as well go for it.
Indeed. Well, funnily enough, actually, Novawick already droned out the position of the Jaeger, and straight off the bat, the hunt for the Red October begins. That is Cass trying to hunt down Zero Prince. Both players are fairly able, but Zero Prince didn't really have a really solid game so far, apart from finding 1 frag, but maybe even just sheer ability to just deny some time will be good here. But the frag grenade is there. Zero Prince somehow survives the second grenade and will be able to, well, live for a little bit longer, but I'm sure that the pincer move, if such, will be made between Scoops Gaming and maybe Yoshi will be good, but oh no. That's a misplay and a half.
That is taking up residence in Spain, but without the S. Looked the wrong way to go for the drone. Will have the wall open up behind her, but it's very much a case of too little too late. They lose out on the Jaeger, but they find a kill onto the Thermite as well. Meeps finds the diffuser, has control of it, knows there's a player out on the window, turns the wrong way, somehow doesn't get fragged out, pulls into Freezer. This is just 71st Recon. Everything is coming up heads for them.
I am so lost and confused. Another gunfight does erupt, and it's a win for Meeps. And that does result in her now firmly planting herself in the freezer/kitchen. And now it's another game of retake, but this time by Scoops and Cass. Once again, 2v4. This is something that keeps on happening for already second time, and this is not the plan, not the way for Grumpy Grapes to even remotely try to take the win. Another gunfight does win out by Meeps, but this time Scoops is able to shut it down. But 35 seconds remaining, 1v3. The chances are extremely low.
Slim to none is probably the best way to describe it. This is 71st Recon. I mean, 25 seconds left. Surely they're going to be moving to, round 5 rounds under the belt, 2-round differential, 2 rounds away from closing out Clubhouse. 71st Recon, they're on track to pick up their first win this season.
Yeah, very much so. Well, 7 seconds to tick away before the round does conclude in the favor of 71st, as it seems it's borderline impossible now, and there we go. There's the round number 8 to score for the 5th point now for 71st. Yet another streak is ramping up, and yeah, definitely looking like this might just be the point, or rather the match to score the points for 71st to finally get on board and push themselves away from the bottom of the leaderboard.
Well, 5-3, we head to Gym Bedroom now in round number 9. So far, what we have seen out of this 71st Recon roster, it looked shaky to start off with. They then found their feet, and they have started running and are now looking to start sprinting. They have just taken these rounds very, very solidly. 5 rounds picked up so far for them. There was a brief break in the middle of round number 6, which was that flawless win that Grapes did pick up to even things up, but they haven't dropped them at a round and a half yet. I mean, they're looking to go for that flawless bomb site rotation.
Quite possibly. That is definitely another thing to really speak about is, yeah, the flawless bomb rotations is a huge thing that not a whole lot of teams have been able to actually achieve, minus, say, Elevate and Nocturnal in some scenarios. So if 71st couldn't pull this off, this is going to be yet another huge achievement for them within the season, and a very solid start, even though the first 2 weeks have been definitely quite rough, to say the very least.
Yeah, I mean, there are teams in this competition that really have been put through the ringer in their opening couple of weeks, and well, I mean, those teams that can, despite having those results, come back and still pick up a win after all of it, they're the ones that you definitely want to keep an eye on. They're the ones with the stamina and, you know, endurance to go the full length. We could see a bit of a change coming into the standings towards the end of the season if 71st can build this momentum and carry on the way they are playing tonight. It's looking good. You know, bar some miracle play coming out of Grumpy Grapes, I don't see a situation where 71st Recon slow down.
Not at all, yeah. It definitely looks like 71st are planning to just full send it, full get the dub, and well, look, I mean, only 2 rounds away from greatness doesn't sound too bad, although there is a certain individual that is ready to throw in a spanner in the works. That is Yoshi.
The Rome Hunter herself, the one playing it on the defense. Now she's the one trying to shut it down on the attack. Spotted some beat. It's going to be Jaeger. It is going to be Meeps who is spotted. So now comes the bait that you want to relocate. You want to do what you can to try and throw things off. Unfortunately, that doesn't do much when you get your head taken off cleanly by the C7E, as Yoshi has just done. Taking out Meeps, getting the opening gunfight in her favor. And that is, I mean, we've talked about the importance and the impact of roamers so far in tonight's games. And, I mean, Meeps going down 10-1 and 5, one of the top 2 fraggers in the server, let alone on the team of 71st Recon going down, makes it that much harder for the team to carry up and push themselves to that point.
100%. This is definitely going to make things a lot rougher, but we've still seen players like TikTok pop off as well, so there's still not all is lost just yet. The push is about to maybe commence now that the drone work has been done, but oh, some pixel angles contested, and well, Scoop Gaming is the one to come out unlucky there. Another gunfight does erupt. It's the UMP that actually secure the kill. We're back to a 3v4. So not all is lost just yet for 71st, but definitely Grumpy Grapes are starting to maybe find some momentum for themselves now that they've managed to find some form of retaliation here in the form of Jackal.
There's a minute left to play. It's still only 4 versus 3, so it's not like 71st Recon still can't pull this one back. Cass, isolated from the team, could be shut down. TikTok finds 1, but is traded out by Nova. So we're back to a 3 versus 2. It's still close, and it's still doable here. Unfortunately for Weasel, they swing straight into the waiting arms of Yoshi. Cass finds the final one. Grumpy Grapes get themselves a 4th on the board. The round difference is now cut back down to 1. So, I mean, as much as 71st Recon have looked good, they're still not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, most definitely. This is one of those matches that you would be thinking that, hey, they got the momentum now, they full sending it, but no. This is still the game where both parties can win. CSTV is going to be the next place to go in for the push, and this time GG already now that they've figured out kind of the kryptonite, I suppose, of some of the players of 71st, that is the Jackal, will be now trying to play off that very case, bringing in 2 hard breaches as well. Should ensure that there's plentiful amount of hard breaching in play, as well as that a Capitao to boot is just one way to get quick access to the smokes, as well as that to just flank out some of the or rather force out some of the defenders out of their strong positions, which should be the right way to really go about this.
Look, Cthulhu, we all know that Capitao is here. He's the tertiary hard breacher. It's exactly why they brought him. It's been such an interesting dynamic to witness since the secondary hard breach gadget has been brought into the fold for Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, you get teams that, I mean, for the longest time, you would from time to time see rosters that were composed of, you'd have a Thermite, you'd have a Hibana, you'd still have a Maverick on the line. So they tripled down on the hard breach just in case something went wrong. Now with the secondary hard breach gadget, you can run the likes of a Capitao, you can run the likes of a Monty as well. So there's those options. And, I mean, it's not something that is, you know, repetitively played at a high level, but it's still something that is making an appearance. And it's good to see that Grumpy Grapes, they have that acknowledgement. They understand the power of the smoke bolt, the asphyxiating bolt as well. So they are using the tools that are available to them. And I mean, if it's got a secondary hard breach gadget, you might as well bring it onto the lineup.
Yeah, make it as more so of like a pocket pick, I suppose. And honestly, yeah, I can most definitely get behind this. I mean, even with say picks like Lion, that man also has the access to the secondary hard breach, as well as that the ability to help with the roam clear. So overall, no, definitely I agree with you on the fact that having that extra flexibility and not being as really actively trying to play around those hard breaches is definitely a huge thing, as well as that another opening will only be benefiting Zero Princess. That is the kill into Nova Wick.
Yeah, it's one of the hard breaches down. It's, I mean, like, you probably consider that I've never seen that pattern of hard breaching being utilized, but the biggest problem now for Grumpy Grapes is that is an isolated diffuser. Anyone that goes for it puts themselves at risk of being gunned down from rafters, so they're gonna have to be very careful. This is such a diverse spread coming up for Grumpy Grapes on the attack. You've got a player basement, you've got a player jacuzzi, you've got players over by garage. This is a situation where you are going to have little to none refrag potential. Yoshi, though, doesn't care, is just going to straight up win her gunfight there. So at least they have that going for them. Back to a 4 versus 4. But a Malusi, who's already put a utility down, not the biggest loss.
Indeed. Yet another ping does come out, and this whole setup has paid off really, really well here for Grumpy Grapes. The decision to bring in the Jacko, maybe even at some point a decision to bring in some more operators for the room clear will be great, but for now it seems that they're doing quite well. Cass finding yet another frag inside the cache onto the castle is yet another good way to kick things off, and overall it looks like 71st is starting to crumble yet again.
Yeah, they find this momentum, they start well, but things just don't quite pan out. Final player left is going to be Zero, who found the open. Finds one onto Aussie at the very least, looking for more, but the question is what can she find, especially with those bolts in place, slowing things down. Diffuser is still locked outside, so there is potential for this to go the way of 71st Recon. Swinging is going to see the head, finds one, finds two, has put one in the dirt, and it's all up to Yoshi. The Diffuser is stuck in the doorway. One kill, is it going to be the ace?
Oh my god!
Zero Prince with an ace to take 71st Recon to match point.
Oh my goodness. Zero, what are you doing? An ace. An ace to pull off here. It is just an absolute amazing play here from her. That does put 71st on a match point. Oh my god.
I mean, if there was a time, if there was a round for a player to step up, and if there was a player to do it, it was going to be Zero, and boy did she do it. A ace to push 71st Recon to map point, the closest they have been to victory this season. One more round and they get themselves a win on the leaderboard. They are no longer sitting bottom with Phoenix, and this is a bomb site that they could possibly do it on. They won basement last time they were here. This is the one that they need to take.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
100%, and no. Now that they've found back their mojo, I suppose, this is a huge play. I mean, Zero single-handedly finally firstly managed to push her out of the bottom of the leaderboard. That's one. Two is she single-handedly put her team back out there for a chance to really win out this matchup. Before it would look like the chances were dwindling very heavily. Now we're back on to the whole 71st to the win bandwagon.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, 6-4. We've already seen one team come back from a deficit tonight. The question is, can Grumpy Grapes do it and upset the same way that we saw Nocturnal pull out against Calypso? One chance is all 71st Recon is probably going to have here. If they can't win this one, there's a good chance that they may not be able to close it out before we head to overtime. Grumpy Grapes, they're a team that has been able to build on even a single round's momentum, and Yoshi if she can find an opening, is not someone to be sneezed at. Well, we're heading into the action phase. A lot of roam presence, especially for a basement hold. In fact, looks like it's dual Jaeger Vigil roam upstairs here around Master Bedroom. But we're going to pull back for now, as Jacuzzi seems to be the point of entry for Grumpy Grapes. Feet have been spotted, so Zero Prince could be in a bit of trouble. The clutch queen herself from the previous round is going to have to be very, very careful of her positioning.
100%. Now that there's a full-blown pump party, he needs to be extra cautious because Meeps has already abandoned that push. The push by Cass is there as well to open up yet another angle, and right now the Jaeger needs to fall back. Zero needs to start running away because right now she's about to get overpowered because Yoshi's already there, pre-fire is out, and well, the pincer is already starting to happen. Another ping, and well, even the drone is there in play, and right now this is an issue. This is a severe deficit in HP, in the ammo, the even just player count. It's not there. Zero Prince is once again being cornered. Another gunfight and only a down, unfortunately, for her.
I mean, despite all of that, that's still half of the round wasted now, thanks to Zero upstairs. Meeps was able to get out, so they still have a very, very competent fragger. They've still got ticked off running the Maestro, the older 5.56. It's the hose. If they can line up players, if they can find the angles, the Banshee below the hatch and kitchen, which has been opened up, by the way, 71st Recon. Unfortunately, we're not able to keep that one in their own favor. Scoops as well has pushed down dirt, so they're going for this multi-pronged assault. Yoshi gets yet another scan in. They know there's a player in church. It is, I think it was Meeps, yeah. Meeps is the one scouted out. They're trying to open up the floor to threaten from above, but with a minute left to play, this is a fight that 71st Recon is not going to roll over on.
Yeah, this is the one where it all matters the most. The breach starts coming out. The push needs to happen as well because only now the drones are there in play. But the Ash Charge attempting to get rid of the Melusi won't be actually. So now it's, well, some more time is going to be spent on trying to get rid of some of the utility, but already some of the angles being set up. Meeps is there in hopes of trying to catch some sort of a crossfire, but can't really find anything. The push is happening, but 17 seconds remaining.
It's going to have to be an explosive brute force push here. The Evil Eye spots one. Yoshi finds a kill on the Meeps, but behind the bar, ticked off with the older 5.56 finds one, going for the hose spray. Can't find the second. Mystique does find one. It's a 2 versus 1. Cass left alone as Nova hits the ground. Weasel and Mystique. The diffuser is down. If they lose one of these gunfights, Cass could pull it back and push us one round away from overtime. She finds Weasel. Can she find Mystique? Mystique swinging out a moto. Cass has exactly an idea of where she is. Diffuser being stuck, but it's faked out. Mystique just dancing around here. Cass going to go back into 90, push towards Church, but yet the other entry goes to the pre-fire. 17, 16, 15 seconds left on the clock. Mystique has to win this gunfight and go for the defuse or just stick it. Cass pushing in outside of Moto. Mystique won't have the time to go for it. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be another round in favor of Grumpy Grapes.
Oh man, the tension, you can feel it in the air. You could almost cut a cake with it, like you said before. And once again, full set of rounds, quite possibly as well. Then overtime is creeping in, and Grumpy Grapes possibly making a comeback here, which is going to be quite an issue for 71st if they won't be able to deal with it right here, right now. In Church and Arsenal room, for once, actually, before the last round, it was 100% in favor of 71st on their defense, but now, not anymore. Now that the perfect record has been broken, we are going to be seeing a reattempt at this side. 71st still firmly believing that they can pull it off, but right now the main issue is that Jackal. Not a single counter has been found yet to this travesty, and really, apart from a cav and maybe some the early frag on a Jackal, there's not really much of a solution.
As many bombs as they can.
I think this Valkyrie play it's the preemption that 71st Recon are looking for. If they can scout out Yoshi on this Jackal early, if they can frag her out as well, they might be able to shut down that impact that she has been having so far in these previous rounds. But, I mean, one round away from overtime, we've seen this play out before. Nocturnal were able to do it. They were able to bring Calypso back from the brink and take the map in overtime for themselves. Grumpy Grapes are one round away from getting a shot at doing that themselves, but 71st Recon, they cannot give an inch here in this what could be the
5
final
seconds
round
remaining.
of this map. They have one last shot here on basement to shut it out in regulation
Attackers are
time.
heading out to
And,
defuse a
well, the
bomb.
setup, it's got to be good. You got to hope that it is. As we see Meeps heading off to roam on her own at the moment around stock. So we could see an aggressive contest out of either of those stock doorways, anticipating a push in towards kitchen as the prioritization could be coming that way for 71st Recon. Oh, sorry, Grumpy Grapes.
But it seems so far, actually, Grumpy Grapes are actually looking at yet another top-down roam clear, and for good reason so far. They were able to quite successfully shut down Zero Prince without any kind of repercussions, really. And the main catalyst to that has been Yoshi on the Jackal. It seems like now it's the new main for the player, seeing as Kali is no longer a potent operator to play around, and just straight like that. No need for any more dances, just straight up gunfight that has been lost.
Yeah, no damage done to Cass. They lose 0 yet again. The Jaeger early on, which, I mean, it's been that thing that has sort of, been the indicator as to how the round will play out. If they lose the Jaeger, Roma, either one, it is going to be a real struggle for 71st, and you can see it looks like Dirt Tunnel Pressure is the name of the game here, as Yoshi as well. Coming down red, goes to the scan, is going to spot out the feet of Ticked Off, so that's more information. They still haven't found a way to deal with it. Shots traded, but Ticked Off comes out worse for wear. It is found by Cass. They're losing players all across the board here. 71st Recon are looking like they might be taken to OT. Meeps, a last-ditch effort up in a roam in gym. Might be able to pinch in from behind. Weasel and Mystique there as well. And Mystique will find Scoops, trying to catch out the player coming in from Dirt. Can she find the other one that was there moments ago? Meeps coming in from above. Incon looking through the hatch. I mean, if this flank is going to go off, it has to go off. Unfortunately, has been spotted. Is going to be tagged heavy. 3 remaining members of 71st. Not a full health bar between them.
Not at all, yeah, and this is going to be a huge issue in the later stages of this round, because any gunfight is pretty much going to be at a severe disadvantage here. So for now, 71st, well, they have to play time, and rightfully so. They have only 39 seconds to really deal with, and if they are able to slow down the onslaught, or just even utility-wise slow things down, this just might be the play. But Grumpy Aussie is already on the case. Mystique does find the shot onto Yoshi, so that is finally the Jackal out of the equation, but Cass is still there. She is still really deadly with that R4C.
3-3. The health bar's not looking great. Doesn't matter if Weasel just wins up the gunfight. 71st Recon might still be able to do this. Gunfight's going off low.
What is
Health
happening?
Weasel finds Aussie. It's all on Cass. Meeps finds it. And 71st Recon pick up their first win of the season, denying overtime by mere slivers of health.
I'm sorry, but I am lost for words here, Panda. How? Especially that kill on IQ, why was there an attempt to run away back? There was so many questions asked but none answered, but nonetheless, that is a fantastic turnout for 71st. They, like you said, they finally scored themselves the point. 7-5. A nail-biter of a game, a nail-biter of a match, and finally they will be able to lift themselves off the bottom of the leaderboard.
Massive effort all around. Both teams dug deep, but unfortunately for the Grumpy Grapes, it wasn't enough for them to pick up the win tonight. 71st Recon just went that much further, dug that much deeper, pulled it out, and a much-deserved win at the end. The health bars were not in their favor coming down to the dying moments of the final round. By all rights, it should have been Grumpy Grapes just cleaning up the kills, but it was a situation where you could not afford to trade damage, because if you did, you were going to die. And 71st, they just won the heads-up gunfights. There's no other way to put it.
Exactly, yeah, they were able to play off of all of the mistakes that Grumpy Grapes committed there, and well, rightfully so, got rewarded with that dub. Let's have a look, though, at the results, and just to get ourselves refreshed, though, with the whole day as it is. 2 nail-biters that we've managed to get on stream. That was the 8-6 between Nocturnal and Calypso, as well as that of 5-7 between Grumpy Grapes and 71st, whereas off-stream, quick, cheeky 7-0 between Elevate and Nutty Gaming, and Beanix lost to Renz in a 2-7 fashion. So overall, quite a jam-packed with action day for our broadcast.
Yeah, much like last week, some very action-packed maps that did. I mean, they really did go the full distance overall. Even if map number 2 wasn't overtime, map number 1 was, and it was very, very similar last week. But in terms of how this affects the standings, there is going to be a bit of a shift up. We are going to see a bit of a bit of a shuffle in the mid pack down towards the bottom of the ladder. It is going to be 71st Recon, who do escape that purgatory of not having picked up a win. But at the top, we see the 2 standards, Elevate and Nocturnal, are still there. But I mean, there's still a hefty difference in terms of round differential. Elevate, I think overall they've dropped 3 rounds.
Believe so, yes.
So, I mean, they've just been a consistent stand-up performer. You could see a couple of changes in terms of round differential has played out. 71st Recon, they're sitting at 7th. They've got a win on the board, so at least they have that now going for them. Calypso, they've just fallen down to 6th place. Grumpy, they've just been able to bring it back into 4th place with that round differential. Rens, they get themselves a 2nd win. So there has been a bit of a shift so far.
Oh, yeah. And I do expect it to keep on shifting throughout the whole of the group stage, because I firmly believe that all of these rosters have the chance to really make a difference here on the leaderboard. And I'm quite curious to see how Rens, Grumpy Grapes, Calypso, Nutty Gaming, and the rest of the rosters will continue to shift within this within the standings throughout the next few weeks. But look, overall, I'm excited, because if that matchup between 71st and Grumpy Grapes doesn't say how volatile the standings are going to be in the further matches, I don't know what else will.
Yeah, I mean, it does set the stage for going into the next couple of weeks. Can Nocturnal keep themselves in that position where they are just behind Elevate? Can they get themselves that better seeding going into the playoff stage? Can anyone threaten that top 2 position becomes the next question? Or are we just going to see, Elevate, Nocturnal, and then 3rd, 4th, which are a little bit further down? And who is going to find themselves in that position? Because there are a number of teams vying for that spot at the moment. Anyone could find themselves in 3rd, 4th coming into the final weeks. So there's a lot of work to do in terms of improving, and there's a lot more games that do need to be played out before we get there.
Most definitely. Well, for tonight, though, that is just about it from all of us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Panda, for being here with me and witnessing all of these absolute just barn burners of matches. And also huge thanks to our wonderful sponsors, that is the Ubisoft ANZ, ZQ Racing, Computer Alliance, Intel, Cooler Master, and Asus ROG. On behalf of XP Esports, the whole production crew, and the casters, thank you very much. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Thursday.
let you play and just second hand. Now I'm beside myself, don't want your fucking help. Let me just go, let me just go. And don't you lie to me and say it's all okay when it feels like I'm drowning. Oh, I hate to say goodbye, but it's time to go. All I need is someone else. You are my strangest addiction. I could say I'll quit without any conviction. Broke my own heart this time for believing that a ghost could find a body alive that hasn't seen the other side. So don't call me, I'll find something to escape my mind. What's the cause when there's no love lost between us? So burn the letters, there's a tragedy in every ember. In every ember. In every ember. In every ember. There's a tragedy in every ember. You are my strangest addiction. I could say I'll quit without any conviction. Broke my own heart this time